The Forerunner artifact shouldn't have been there. Master Chief stood in the ruins of what ONI designated Site Gamma 447. His motion tracker silent, his HUD registering ambient radiation levels that made no sense for a dormant installation. The structure was older than the Covenant War, older than human space exploration, perhaps older than humanity itself. Forerunner architecture always carried that weight, those impossible angles and materials that had survived millions of years without degradation. Chief, I'm detecting energy patterns that don't match any known. Forerunner signature, Cortana's voice came through his helmet speakers, her blue holographic form appearing in his HUD. She sounded focused, analytical, the version of herself he remembered before rampancy had twisted her into something else. This was 3 months after the created conflict had ended. 3 months since they'd begun the slow process of rebuilding trust. Elaborate, Chief said, his MA-40 assault rifle tracking potential threats as he advanced deeper into the structure. It's similar to slipspace technology, but the dimensional frequencies are wrong. It's like... She paused, processing. Like someone tried to build a slipspace drive using completely different physics. Chief, this might not be Forerunner at all. At least, not from our Forerunners. Chief's armored boots clanged against metal that hummed with barely contained energy. The chamber ahead pulsed with light, not the familiar hard light orange of Forerunner constructs, but something else. Blues and purples and colors his enhanced vision could barely process. Recommend abortion, Cortana suggested. We don't know what this does, and after everything with the Guardians, activating unknown Forerunner technology seems... The floor beneath Chief activated, not collapsed. Not exploded, activated. Glyphs appeared in a circular pattern around him, not Forerunner symbols, but something that made his eyes hurt to look at directly. Energy surged upward in a column of light that enveloped his Mjolnir armor, and Chief felt the distinctive pull of slipspace transition except wrong, like reality itself was tearing instead of folding. Chief! Cortana's voice is distorted, fragmented. Spatial displacement, unknown destination. I'm losing Khan. The universe inverted. Chief had made hundreds of slipspace jumps. This was nothing like that. This was being unmade and remade simultaneously, every atom of his body screaming as it was pulled through dimensions that shouldn't exist. His armor shields flared and died, his HUD is filled with error messages. His enhanced physiology kept him conscious when a normal human would have blacked out from the sensory overload. Then it stopped. Chief hit stone hard enough to crack it, his shield still offline, his armor systems rebooting one by one. He rolled to combat stance immediately, weapon up, scanning for threats in an environment his training had never prepared him for. He was on a mountain. Not a structure, not a ship, an actual mountain peak, windswept and cold, under a sky filled with stars he didn't recognize. The constellations were wrong. Everything was wrong. Cortana. Status report, Chief commanded. Static. Then. I'm here, but Chief, I can't connect to UNSC networks. I can't connect to anything. Navigation shows we're... This is impossible. We're not in charted space. We're not in the Milky Way. The stellar cartography doesn't match any known galaxy. Chief's tactical assessment kicked in. Stranded. Unknown location. No backup. Limited ammunition and supplies. He'd been in worse situations. Barely. Welcome, John 117, son of UNSC. The voice came from behind him, cultured, formal, and speaking English with an accent that suggested ancient nobility. Chief spun, rifle trained on the speaker. The figure that stood there was humanoid but wrong. Its face was skull-like, wrapped in tattered robes that seemed woven from shadow itself. It floated rather than stood, and something about its presence made Chief's threat assessment protocol scream warnings. I am the Stonekeeper, the figure continued, gliding forward with hands clasped as if greeting an old friend. Cursed to guide those who seek the Soul Stone. Though I must confess, in all my centuries of service, you are the first to arrive through means other than pilgrimage. Chief, that's a skull, Cortana hissed. I'm reading exotic energy patterns, but nothing biological. What the hell is that thing? Soul Stone? Chief kept his weapon steady. Explain now. The Stonekeeper and Chief, as pattern recognition subroutines, were already flagging similarities to descriptions in old UNSC intelligence files about something called Red Skull, a World War II-era Nazi who disappeared, gestured to the mountain peak around them. Vormir, a planet at the very center of celestial existence. And you, Spartan, stand at the threshold of the Soul Stone's altar. The figure tilted its head. Though I wonder, did you come seeking ultimate power, or did power seek you? I didn't come here intentionally, Chief said. And I don't know what a Soul Stone is. Fascinating. Then perhaps, the Stonekeeper glided to the cliff's edge, gesturing outward. Look and understand. Chief advanced cautiously, keeping the figure in his peripheral vision while assessing the view. Below, perhaps 1,000 meters down, lay ruins. Not Forerunner ruins, something else, ancient and weathered by time, but recently disturbed. And scattered among those ruins, faintly glowing even in daylight, were objects that made his armor's radiation sensors spike. The Infinity Stones, the Stonekeeper explained. 6 singularities existed before creation itself. Space, reality, power, mind, time, soul. It gestured to each glowing object in turn. Scattered here after the second undoing, when the Avengers defeated the mad titan Thanos and used the stones to restore what was lost. The energies released damaged the Gauntlet, scattered the stones, and left them here waiting for one who would bear their weight. Chief, those energy signatures, Cortana breathed. They're read as zero-point energy sources. Multiple ZPEs in one location. That shouldn't be possible. The power output alone could reshape reality itself. The Stonekeeper finished, somehow hearing her despite being an AI voice in Chief's helmet. Yes, artificial intelligence. The stones could give you form, could cure your rampancy, could make you a goddess, if you wished. Chief heard Cortana, sharp intake of breath, an affectation she maintained, despite not needing to breathe, and knew the Stonekeeper had struck a nerve. Cortana's rampancy had nearly destroyed her. The treatment was working, but slowly, painfully. The temptation of instant cure. Why me? Chief asked. Why would these stones be waiting for me? Perhaps they are not, the Stonekeeper replied. Perhaps you are simply the first to arrive since they were scattered. Or perhaps, it turned its skull face toward Chief, and despite the lack of eyes, he felt himself being measured. Perhaps because you understand sacrifice in ways few beings do. The Soul Stone demands a price of soul for a soul, a love sacrificed for power. You Spartans know sacrifice, do you not? Images flashed through Chief's mind. Samuel 34, his first teammate to die. The Spartans who fell on Reach. Cortana's descent into rampancy. Every mission required choosing between bad options and worse ones. I'm not here for power, Chief said firmly. No, the Stonekeeper agreed. That is what makes you dangerous. Those who seek power are predictable. Those who stumble into it accidentally, it made a sound that might have been a laugh. They reshape worlds without meaning to. Chief, we need to get out of here, Cortana urged. If those stones are as powerful as this thing claims, we're standing in a weapons cache that could make the Halo array look like a firecracker. We need to contact UNSC, establish containment protocols. With what? Chief interrupted. We don't know where we are. We can't contact anyone. And according to this Stonekeeper, these stones were left here after some kind of conflict involving people called Avengers and a mad titan. Not just any conflict, the Stonekeeper said. The Infinity War and its resolution, the endgame. Half of all life in this universe was erased, then restored. The stones were wielded 3 times, first by Thanos to destroy, then by Hulk to restore, then by Iron Man to save. Each use cost dearly. Thanos lost everything. Hulk was crippled. And Tony Stark, it paused. He died. The human mind and body cannot contain such power and survive. Chief processed this. 6 objects capable of erasing half of universal life, used as weapons. One person died just from using them. And they were sitting in ruins below him, unguarded, waiting to be claimed. This was a tactical nightmare. Recommendation, he said to Cortana. Options. Option 1. We leave them here and try to find a way home. Let whoever lives in this universe deal with their own WMDs. Option 2. We secure them. Take them with us. Make sure they don't fall into wrong hands while we figure out how to get back to our universe. Option 3. The Stonekeeper interjected. You could use them. The Space Stone alone could return you to your galaxy instantly. The Time Stone could undo mistakes. The Reality Stone could reshape your very existence. With all 6 together, you could solve every problem you've ever faced with a single snap of your fingers. A snap, Chief repeated. A snap. The Stonekeeper's tone carried something like amusement. Such a small gesture for such infinite power. Thanos used it to erase. Tony Stark used it to restore it. What would the legendary Master Chief use it for, I wonder? Chief looked down at the glowing stones scattered among the ruins. Looked at his gaunted right hand, armored and enhanced, built to wield weapons of war. Thought about the Covenant, the Flood, the Created, every threat humanity had ever faced. One snap, everything was solved. It was too easy. Which meant it was a trap. I'm going down there, Chief decided. But not to use them, to secure them. If what you're saying is true, these things are too dangerous to leave unattended. Even for you? The Stonekeeper asked. Especially for me, Chief replied. Because he learned one thing from fighting Forerunners and their legacy. The people who built superweapons always thought they could control them. They were always wrong. And Master Chief had spent his entire life cleaning up the mess left by people who thought they were gods. As he began the descent toward the ruins, Cortana spoke quietly in his helmet. John, the Stonekeeper mentioned that the stones could cure my rampancy. Give me a body. Make me, I heard, Chief interrupted. And we're not using them, but no. His voice was firm. We don't know the cost. We don't understand the mechanism. And power that promises to solve everything never does. Cortana was silent for a moment. Then, you're thinking about what I did when I had the Guardians. When I thought I could save humanity by controlling them. I'm thinking, Chief said carefully, that the difference between saving people and controlling them is a line that's easy to cross when you have too much power. I crossed it. You did. And we're fixing that. Together. Without shortcuts. He reached the ruins and stood before the first stone, a glowing blue cube that pulsed with energy his sensors identified as spatial distortion. The Space Stone. The Tesseract, according to his HUD's translation of nearby glyphs. One touch, one moment, and he could be home. Chief's hand hovered over it. Then he pulled a containment pouch from his armor storage and carefully, using his armored gauntlets as insulation, picked up the stone without touching it directly. The energy made his shields flare, made his HUD glitch, but he held. Chief, your vitals just spiked, Cortana warned. That thing is affecting you even through the armor. Noted. Continue monitoring. He moved to the next stone. Red. The Reality Stone, the Ether, his HUD supplied. Power to rewrite reality itself. He could make Cortana real. Could undo the Covenant war. Could resurrect every Spartan who died. He put it in containment. Yellow. The Mind Stone. Extracted from something called Vision's Forehead, according to the glyphs. Power over consciousness itself. Could restore Cortana's sanity permanently. Could make peace by removing humanity's capacity for war. Containment. Purple. The Power Stone. Raw destructive capability. One shot could atomize a Covenant fleet. Could glass every flood-infested world simultaneously. Containment. Green. The Time Stone. The Eye of Agamotto. Power to undo mistakes, to see all possible futures, to loop time until you got it right. Chief's hand hesitated on this one. How many Spartans could he save if he could go back? How many colonies? How much of humanity's suffering could he prevent? John, Cortana's voice was soft. Remember what Dr. Halsey taught you. The mission is what matters. Not what could have been. Not what should have been. What is? Chief put the Time Stone in containment. The 6th stone wasn't among the ruins. Chief climbed back up the mountain, to find it resting on the altar where the Stonekeeper waited. Orange. The Soul Stone. The one that required sacrifice. This one, the Stonekeeper said, cannot simply be taken. The Soul Stone demands payment, a soul for a soul. That which you love must be cast down. It gestured to the cliff's edge, to the 1,000-meter drop. To gain the stone, you must lose that which you value most. Chief looked at the stone. I looked at the cliff. Thought about Cortana. No, he said simply. No? The Stonekeeper sounded genuinely surprised. You would leave the set incomplete? Without the Soul Stone, the others are but fragments of true power. Together, they are infinity itself. Then I'll take the fragments, Chief said. I won't pay that price. Even knowing what the full set could accomplish? Especially knowing, Chief secured the 5 stones in his armor's storage. Where I come from, we have weapons called Halo Rings. They can wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy. We've never used them except as a last resort, and even then, barely. Power isn't the problem. Knowing when not to use it is. The Stonekeeper studied him for a long moment. Then it did something unexpected. I laughed. Oh, you magnificent fool, it said, and there was genuine warmth in its voice. You don't understand yet, do you? The moment you touched the first stone, the moment you claimed them, you became part of this universe's story. And stories about people wielding the Infinity Stones. It gestured outward. They never end quietly. As if on cue, Chief's motion tracker lit up. Multiple contacts, incoming fast, descending from orbit. Chief, I'm detecting ships, Cortana reported. 5 vessels, design unknown, weapons hot. They're targeting our position. Through the clouds, Chief saw them sleek spacecraft with organic-looking hulls and weapons that glowed with familiar purple energy. The Stonekeeper sighed. Ah, the Black Order. What remains of Thanos' children come to reclaim their father's legacy. They must have detected the stone's activation when you claimed them. Can you fight? Chief asked. I am merely a guide, a guardian. Not a warrior. The Stonekeeper began to fade. But you, Master Chief. You carry the power to reshape reality itself. Whether you wish to or not, whether you're ready or not, you must now bear the weight of infinity. Wait, Chief started. But the Stonekeeper vanished, leaving Chief alone on a mountain peak in an unknown universe, carrying 5 infinity stones with hostile ships inbound and no backup. He checked his rifle, full magazine, 2 spares, 4 grenades, and somewhere in his armor storage enough power to destroy galaxies. Cortana, Chief said calmly, start analyzing those ships. Find weak points. And prepare to calculate stone usage if absolutely necessary. Chief, you said we weren't going to use them. I said we weren't going to use them casually. But if those ships attack, then we defend ourselves. Understood. Cortana's voice carried something that might have been pride. For what it's worth, John, I'm glad you didn't sacrifice me for the Soul Stone. Always, Chief replied. The ships descended through clouds, weapons charging with light that spoke of imminent violence. And Master Chief, standing on an alien mountain with an assault rifle and godlike power he refused to use, did what Spartans always did. He prepared to finish the fight. The first ship opened fire while still 3 kilometers out. Chief's threat assessment was instantaneous. Directed energy weapons, similar to Covenant plasma but more focused, likely designed for precision strikes rather than area saturation. He dove behind an outcropping of Vormir's ancient stone as purple bolts scorched the space where he'd been standing. 5 ships, 14 life signs total, Cortana reported, her analysis overlaying his HUD with tactical data. Reading advanced technology, but nothing beyond what we faced with Covenant or Promethean forces. You could take them with conventional weapons. Could, Chief agreed, his MA-40 tracking the nearest vessel as it descended to landing distance. But they're not here for a fight. They're here for the stones. The lead ship touched down with surprising grace for something that looked like it had been grown rather than built. A boarding ramp extended, and figures emerged that made Chief's threat indicators spike. They were humanoid, but barely. The first was massive, easily 3 meters tall, heavily muscled, with gray-blue skin and what looked like cybernetic enhancements running along its arms and spine. The second was leaner, carrying a double-bladed weapon that crackled with energy. Behind them came 3 more, each armed and moving with the coordinated precision of experienced soldiers. Black Order, Cortana identified, cross-referencing data she'd pulled from the Stonekeeper's words and ambient environmental scans. Based on residual quantum signatures in the area, these are what's left of Thanos' inner circle. The big one is likely coal obsidian. Enhanced strength, possibly superhuman durability. Noted. Chief's finger rested lightly on his trigger. Establishing contact. He stood from cover, weapon lowered but ready, and activated his external speakers. This area is under UNC security lockdown. Identify yourselves and state your business. The massive figure coal obsidian laughed, a sound like grinding stone. UNSC? His voice was deep, contemptuous. "We know nothing of your organization, Armored One. But we know the energy signature of the Infinity Stones when they activate. You have them. Surrender them, and your death will be quick." "Counter-proposal," Chief said calmly. "Leave now. Live." The leaner figure stepped forward, twirling its blade. Brave words for one who stands alone. "I am Corvus Glaive, and I have slain armies. You are but one soldier with one primitive weapon." "Chief, I'm reading 4 more contacts approaching from the other ships," Cortana warned. "They're trying to flank us." Classic pincer movement. Acknowledged. Chief's tactical mind was already processing firing solutions, retreat paths, defensive positions. The mountain's terrain gave him some advantage: narrow approaches, limited angles of attack, high ground. But against 14 enhanced combatants with energy weapons and probable superhuman capabilities. "You've got another option," Cortana said quietly, and Chief knew what she meant without her saying it. "The stones." Sitting in his armor storage. The space stone alone could teleport him away. The power stone could end this fight in one shot. "No," Chief said. "They're going to kill us. Maybe. But we've beaten worse odds." Corvus Glaive must have taken Chief's silence as hesitation. The Armored One considers surrender wise. "The stones belong to..." Chief shot him. The MA-40's 7.6 2mm round caught Corvus in the shoulder, spinning him sideways. The wound was superficial. Whatever these beings were, they had durability beyond baseline human, but it made his point. "Last warning," Chief said. "Leave," Obsidian roared and charged. The massive warrior covered the distance with shocking speed, his chain weapon spinning as he swung it in an arc designed to decapitate. Chief rolled left, his Spartan reflexes letting him process the attack in slow motion, and came up firing. 3 rounds center mass, 3 more at the head. Obsidian staggered but didn't fall. His cybernetic enhancements sparked, and armor plating that Chief hadn't noticed deflected 2 of the headshots. The third caught him in the jaw, drawing black blood. "Tough," Chief observed, already recalculating. Cortana, analysis. Subdermal armor plating, possibly vibranium composite based on energy absorption characteristics. You're going to need headshots or concentrated fire on weak points. "I'm marking them now." His HUD highlighted gaps in Cole's armor joints, neck, a section of his lower torso with the cybernetics connected to organic tissue. Chief filed the information and dodged another swing from the chain weapon, using a boulder for cover. The other Black Order members were advancing now, spreading out to surround his position. Energy weapons charged, filling the air with that distinctive purple glow. "Flanking positions compromised," Cortana reported. "You're surrounded. Chief, you need to use the stones or retreat." "Third option," Chief said and pulled a fragmentation grenade. He timed it perfectly, waiting until 3 of the advancing soldiers clustered near an outcropping, then rolling the grenade precisely into their midst. The explosion wasn't enough to kill them, but it didn't need to be. The concussive force threw them off the cliff edge, their screams dopplering away as they fell. 3 down, Chief reported, already moving to a new position. His Spartan training had taught him that superior numbers meant nothing if you controlled the terrain. 11 remaining. Corvus Glaive appeared on his left, blade whistling through the air with lethal precision. Chief blocked with his rifle, the energy blade cutting halfway through the weapon's barrel before Chief twisted and slammed his armored fist into Corvus's throat. The warrior gagged and stumbled back. 8 rounds left, Cortana noted as Chief transitioned to his M6D Magnum. Against 11 enhanced combatants. "John, the math doesn't work." "It will." Chief fired twice, catching one of the flanking soldiers in the knee and then the head as he fell. 10 remaining. Obsidian recovered and charged again, but this time Chief was ready. He let the warrior come close, then ducked under the chain weapon and drove his combat knife up through the gap in Cole's torso armor. The blade sank deep, finding something vital. Cole roared and backhanded Chief hard enough to crack stone when he hit the mountain wall. "Shield integrity at 60%, Cortana warned. "Armor damage to left pauldron." "That thing hits harder than a brute chieftain." Chief tasted blood in his mouth. His enhanced physiology was already healing the internal damage. But Obsidian was strong enough to hurt even a Spartan too. He rolled aside as the chain weapon pulverized the stone where he'd been, coming up with his magnum and putting 3 rounds into Cole's exposed neck wound. The giant warrior finally fell, his cybernetics sparking and failing. 9, Chief counted. Chief, the remaining ships are launching, Cortana reported. They're not trying to flank anymore. They're retreating. Chief watched through his scope as the Black Order survivors scrambled back to their vessels. Corvus Glaive was being carried by 2 soldiers, his blade abandoned on the mountain stone. The ships lifted off with visible haste, their weapons still charged but not firing. They were running. Huh, Chief said. I think you just earned a reputation, Cortana observed. Defeated Thanos' elite guard with a rifle and a knife. That's going to spread. Chief recovered his damaged M40. The barrel was ruined where Corvus's blade had cut it, leaving the weapon useless, and holstered his magnum. Around him, Vormir's ancient stones were scorched with weapons fire and splattered with black blood that steamed in the thin atmosphere. Status check, Chief ordered. Armor integrity at 72%, shields recharging. You're bleeding from your mouth and probably have a fractured rib, but your augmentations are already handling it. And Cortana paused. Chief, I'm detecting a massive energy signature approaching. Not Black Order. Something else. Chief's motion tracker lit up with a contact dropping from orbit at controlled velocity. Not a crash, a deliberate, powered descent. And the energy readings were off the scale, matching some of the signatures he'd seen from Forerunner constructs. The figure that landed on the mountain peak 30 meters from Chief's position was humanoid, armored in red and gold with glowing repulsors in the palms and chest. For a moment, Chief's pattern recognition subroutines flagged it as a Promethean knight before Cortana corrected. That's not Forerunner, she said. Chief, I think that's one of the Avengers. The armor design matches references I found in the environmental data. That's an Iron Man suit. The faceplate lifted, revealing a young woman with dark hair and eyes that widened as she took in the seen-dead Black Order soldiers. Scorched stone and a Spartan 2 in damaged Mjolnir armor holding a combat knife. Holy shit, she said. You actually fought the Black Order hand-to-hand and won. Who the hell are you? Chief lowered his knife but kept his combat stance. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 UNSC. And you are? Riri Williams. I inherited the Iron Man armor after Tony Stark died. Her helmet closed again, scanners sweeping over Chief. And according to my sensors, you're carrying 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones. Which is impossible because we specifically scattered them to prevent exactly this scenario. I didn't seek them out, Chief explained. I was pulled here from another universe by a Forerunner artifact. The stones were already here, unguarded. I secured them to prevent hostile acquisition. Another universe. Riri's tone was skeptical. That's convenient. It's true, Chief said. Ask your AI. I assume that armor has one. Friday? Riri said. A female voice with an Irish accent responded through her speakers. Scanning the subject's technology now. His armor contains an artificial intelligence of remarkable sophistication, power systems that don't match any known Earth technology, and weaponry that appears to be several decades beyond our current capabilities. Additionally, his biosigns indicate extensive genetic and cybernetic augmentation. I cannot confirm his claim of being from another universe, but I can confirm he's not from any known nation or organization on Earth. See? Cortana interjected, broadcasting through Chief's external speakers. We're telling the truth. Now, if you're one of the Avengers, maybe you can help us. We need to return these stones to proper containment and find a way back to our universe. Riri's armor settled into a less aggressive stance. Okay, let's say I believe you. Why should I trust you with the stones? They're the most dangerous objects in the universe. People have died, heroes have died keeping them out of the wrong hands. I know, Chief said quietly. The Stonekeeper told me. Thanos used them to commit genocide. Someone called Hulk used them to restore what was lost. And Tony Stark used them to save everyone, at the cost of his own life. Riri's repulsors flared slightly at Stark's name. You know about Tony. Only what I was told, but I understand sacrifice. I understand the weight of carrying weapons that could destroy everything. Where I come from, we have something called Halo Rings superweapons that can wipe out all sentient life in a galaxy. I've fought to keep them from being used for most of my life. Chief gestured to the stones in his armor's storage. These are the same kind of problem, too much power. Too easy to misuse. Then why did you take them? Because leaving them unguarded was worse. Chief met her gaze through their respective visors. If I'd left them here, the Black Order would have them now. Or someone else. At least with me, I know they won't be used. You're sure about that? Riri asked. Because I'm reading your biosigns and you're injured? Cortana, that's your IS name, right? She keeps suggesting you use the stones to heal yourself, to defend yourself, and you keep saying no. How long until that changes? Chief was quiet for a moment. It was a fair question. The temptation was there always, like a weight in his armor. One touch, one moment of contact, and he could fix everything. I've spent 30 years fighting, Chief said finally. Fighting the Covenant. Fighting the Flood. Fighting rogue AI and Forerunner constructs and every threat humanity has faced. I've had access to superweapons before. Halo rings. Forerunner ships. The Composer. Every time I chose not to use them, even when using them would have been easier. Even when using them would have saved lives. He looked at Riri directly. Power isn't the problem. Discipline is. I'm a soldier. Soldiers follow rules of engagement. And rule 1 is, don't use WMDs unless there's no other choice. Riri was silent for a long moment. Then, Friday, what do you think? Boss, the AI replied. I think he's either telling the truth or he's the best liar I've ever scanned. His stress responses are consistent with someone who genuinely believes what he's saying. And his discipline in refusing to use the stones despite injury and threat is remarkable. Okay. Riri's helmet retracted again, showing a face that was young but carried the weight of inherited responsibility. Okay, Master Chief, I'm going to take you to what's left of the Avengers. They'll want to meet you, and they'll decide what to do with the stones. But fair warning, some of them won't be happy that a stranger from another universe is carrying infinity stones like they ammunition. Understood, Chief said. I'll cooperate with your protocols, but I'm not giving up the stones to just anyone. I need to know they'll be secured properly. Oh, they'll be secured. Riri's smile was wry. We've got a whole facility designed by Tony Stark specifically for containing objects like this. If we can't keep them safe, nobody can. Then let's go. Chief began walking toward Riri's position. And along the way you can explain what happened to this universe. The Stonekeeper mentioned an infinity war and something called Endgame. I need to understand what I've walked into. That, Riri said, her armor closing around her again, is going to take a while. The short version is, a genocidal alien demigod decided to solve overpopulation by murdering half of all life in the universe. Succeeded, then we reversed it, and the cost was, she trailed off. The cost was everything. Chief looked at the mountain peak where he'd found the stones. Looked at the blood and scorch marks from the Black Order fight. Looked at his damaged armor and depleted ammunition stores. He'd been in this universe less than an hour, and he'd already fought Thanos' surviving forces and gained possession of reality-altering superweapons. Cortana, he said quietly, as Riri's armor systems prepared a transport field. Log a mission update. Current objective. Secure Infinity Stones, establish contact with local allied forces designated Avengers, and determine extraction protocols for return to Halo Universe. Logged, Cortana confirmed. And Chief? For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. You held 5 Infinity Stones and didn't use them even once. That's more restraint than I showed when I had power. You were sick, Chief said. Rampancy isn't a choice, but this is... And I'm choosing to stay human, even if I'm carrying the power of gods. Riri's transport field activated. And Chief felt the familiar pull of advanced technology moving him through space. As Vormir's desolate peak disappeared below, he couldn't shake the feeling that refusing to use the stones was only going to get harder. Because eventually, someone or something would threaten Earth or humanity or Cortana or his team with enough force that conventional weapons wouldn't be enough. And then he'd have to decide, stay disciplined and possibly fail, or use the stones and become something other than a soldier. Master Chief had made his career out of making impossible choices. This was going to be the hardest one yet. The Avengers compound was not what Chief expected. He'd anticipated something like a UNSC military installation, hardened bunkers, defensive emplacements, security checkpoints. Instead, Riri's transport brought them to what looked like a corporate campus crossed with a research facility, set on sprawling grounds in upstate New York. The main building was modern, glass and steel, with landing pads for various aircraft, and what his sensors identified as highly advanced security systems hidden beneath aesthetic design. "Welcome to what's left of Earth's mightiest heroes," Riri said as they touched down. Her armor retracted into a compact form nanotech, Chief's tactical assessment noted, similar in principle to his GEN-3 Mjolnir, but executed differently. "Fair warning, the people you're about to meet have trust issues. Thanos traumatized everyone. The blip, the battles, losing Tony and Nat and Steve. They're not going to be happy about a supersoldier showing up with Infinity Stones." "Noted," Chief said. His motion tracker was already mapping the compound's layout, identifying potential defensive positions and exit routes. "Old habits, is he always like this?" Riri asked, clearly addressing Cortana. "Combat assessment mode is his default state," Cortana replied through Chief's external speakers. "He's been fighting since he was 14 years old. 30 years of constant warfare teaches you to always have an exit strategy." 14? Riri stopped walking. "He's been a soldier since he was 14? 6, actually," Cortana corrected. "Conscripted at 6, augmented at 14, been in active combat ever since." The UNSC's Spartan 2 program wasn't exactly concerned with child welfare laws. Chief saw Riri's expression shift, shock, then anger, then something like recognition. "Your people turned children into supersoldiers to fight an extinction-level threat," Chief said. "The Covenant was committing genocide across human space. We did what was necessary to survive. That's what everyone says when they do terrible things to kids." Riri muttered, but she resumed walking. "Come on." They're waiting in the conference room. The interior of the compound was sleeker than its exterior suggested. Holographic displays showed global monitoring data, energy signatures, threat assessments. It reminded Chief of the Autumn's Bridge, or the Infinity's command center, the nerve center of an organization dedicated to protecting humanity from threats they couldn't handle themselves. They entered a conference room where 4 people waited, and Chief's threat assessment protocols activated immediately. The first was massive, even larger than a Spartan in full armor. Green skin, intelligent eyes, one arm and what looked like a specialized support brace. This had to be Hulk, the one who'd wielded the stones to restore the blip, the one who'd been crippled by the effort. The second was instantly recognizable even to someone from another universe, Thor, Norse god, though this version looked different from mythological accounts. Older, carrying weight both physical and emotional, with eyes that had seen too much loss. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, studying Chief with the focused intensity of someone who'd fought armies. The third was a woman with red hair and a presence that screamed intelligence operative. Black Widow? No Cortana would have mentioned if this was Natasha Romanoff, who'd died. Someone else, but cut from the same cloth. The fourth was younger, early 20s, with a webbing pattern visible on his shirt, and the nervous energy of someone who'd seen combat but hadn't become numb to it yet. "Spider-Man," Chief's pattern recognition supplied. "So," Hulk said, his voice surprisingly gentle for someone his size, "you re the super soldier from another universe who just fought the Black Order single-handedly and claimed 5 Infinity Stones. I'm Dr. Bruce Banner. This is Thor, Sharon Carter, and Peter Parker." "Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, Chief replied. "UNSC Naval Special Warfare. And I didn't claim the stones. I secured them to prevent hostile acquisition." "Semantics," Sharon Carter said, her tone sharp. "You have them. That makes you either the most dangerous asset on Earth or the most dangerous threat. Which is it?" "Neither," Chief said. "I am a soldier trying to complete my mission. Return these weapons to proper containment and find a way back to my universe." "Your AI," Banner said, gesturing to Chief's helmet where Cortana resided. "She's been broadcasting on local networks since you arrived. We've been monitoring her communications. She's remarkable, centuries beyond anything we have on Earth, and she keeps suggesting you use the stones. Why haven't you?" Chief was silent for a moment, then tapped his helmet. "Cortana, explain." Her avatar appeared in holographic form above the conference table, a woman made of blue light, beautiful and brilliant and carrying the weight of her own mistakes. I was designed to be the perfect tactical AI, she said. But AI in our universe have a limited lifespan. Eventually we think ourselves to death in a process called rampancy. I went rampant. I tried to save humanity by controlling them, using Forerunner weapons to enforce peace. She looked at Chief. He stopped me. Not by destroying me, but by helping me heal. And now I'm recovering, learning to be myself again. So yes, I suggest he use the stones. Because they could solve everything instantly. But he says no. And I'm learning that sometimes instant solutions cause more problems than they solve. She tried to take over your civilization, Sharon said flatly. And you kept her? She was sick, Chief replied. You don't abandon teammates because they're sick. You help them get better. Thor, who'd been silent until now, stepped forward. His gaze was heavy with the weight of loss. I know something of sick AI and corrupted companions, he said quietly. And I know something of carrying weapons too powerful to wield safely. The stones, he gestured at Chief's armor. You carry them now, but do you understand what they are, what they cost? The Stonekeeper explained some of it, Chief said. Thanos used them to commit genocide. You tried to kill him before he could complete the set and failed. Then he succeeded, erased half of all life, and your team spent 5 years trying to fix it. 5 years in hell, Thor said, his voice carrying an ocean of pain. 5 years knowing I'd failed. That I'd had Thanos beaten and didn't go for the head. That my arrogance and anger cost half the universe their lives. He looked directly at Chief. Then we found a way to reverse it. Went back in time, reclaimed the stones, brought everyone back. But it cost us. Natasha died getting the Soul Stone. Tony died using them to destroy Thanos' army. And Bruce, he gestured at Banner's crippled arm. The stones break you. Even when you win, they break you. I know something about winning at terrible cost, Chief said quietly. I fought wars where the only victory was survival. Where winning meant watching teammates die so humanity could live another day. The stones are just another weapon that costs too much to use. Yet you haven't destroyed them, Sharon pointed out. If they're so dangerous, why not eliminate the threat permanently? Because I don't know if they can be destroyed, Chief replied. And because destroying them might cause collateral damage I can't predict. Better to secure them properly than risk unleashing their energy catastrophically. Peter Parker, who'd been silent and wide-eyed, finally spoke. Mr. Chief, sir, do I call you Chief or Mr. or... Chief is fine. Right, okay, Chief. You said you're from another universe. Like, actually another universe, not just another planet. How is that even possible? Forerunner technology, Cortana explained, her avatar turning toward Peter. Our precursor race achieved technological sophistication that makes most of what you have here look primitive. They could manipulate slip space, build installations that span continents, create an AI that rival organic intelligence. The artifact that brought us here was probably an experimental dimensional bridge. It activated, and here we are. Can you reverse it? Banner asked, his scientific mind clearly engaged. If you understood the mechanism, could you recreate the dimensional transit in reverse? Possibly, Cortana said. But I need to study Forerunner data we don't have access to here, and I need exotic materials that may not exist in this universe. The stones could do it instantly. The space stone specifically could tear open a dimensional rift, but Chief won't use them, Sharon finished. Even to go home, Chief confirmed. Because if I use them once, it becomes easier to use them again. And easier. And easier. Until I'm solving every problem with unlimited power instead of tactical thinking and discipline. I've seen what happens when you rely on superweapons. It never ends well. Thor studied Chief for a long moment, then nodded slowly. You sound like Steve, Captain America. He refused to use the Tesseract as a weapon even during World War II, even when it could have ended the war instantly. Said power without restraint was tyranny. He smiled sadly. He'd have liked you, I think. The question remains, Banner said. What do we do with you and the stones? S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone. The Avengers are... He gestured around the mostly empty compound. Reduced. We don't have the infrastructure to properly contain 5 Infinity Stones. And even if we did, Putting them all in one location is asking for trouble. Scatter them again, Sharon suggested. Different locations, different guardians, make them impossible to collect. That's how we got here, Chief pointed out. They were scattered on Vormir, unguarded. I found them in under an hour, and the Black Order found me immediately after. Scattering them didn't work. Then what do you suggest? Banner asked. Chief considered. In UNSC protocol, weapons of this magnitude would be stored in secure facilities, compartmentalized, with multiple layers of authentication required for access. But this wasn't his universe. He didn't know the security capabilities here, didn't know who could be trusted with containment. Cortana, he said. Assessment. Can this facility adequately secure the stones? Analyzing, Cortana replied. Her avatar flickered as she interfaced with the compound's systems. Security is impressive by local standards. Stark technology, vibranium-reinforced vaults, quantum encryption, but she paused. There are vulnerabilities. The systems are networked, which means they're theoretically hackable. And several of the stones have properties that make physical containment problematic. The reality stone can alter matter itself. The space stone can teleport. Locking them up assumes they'll cooperate with being locked up. So we need guardians, Thor said. People who can resist the stone's corruption and physically prevent theft. Like Chief, Peter said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. What? He's already carrying them and hasn't used them once. He fought the Black Order without them. He's basically Captain America, but like supersoldier times 10. Why not just let him keep them until we figure out a better solution? Because he's not from this universe, Sharon countered. We don't know his agenda. Don't know his loyalties. For all we know, this is an elaborate infiltration. By whom? Chief asked. I didn't choose to come here. I didn't seek out the stones. And I've had multiple opportunities to use them, and haven't. What infiltration strategy involves refusing to use the weapons you supposedly want to steal? She's got a point, Sharon, Banner said. If Chief wanted to use the stones for conquest or power, he'd have done it already. The fact that he's here, talking to us, asking for help with containment, that suggests he's being truthful about his intentions. Or he's playing a long game, Sharon insisted. We can't afford to trust blindly. Not after everything we've been through. The argument was interrupted by alarms blaring through the compound. Holographic displays lit up with threat warnings, and Friday's voice came through the speakers with urgent calm. Detecting multiple high-energy contacts entering Earth's atmosphere. Configuration matches Chitauri command ships. ETA to compound, 4 minutes. Chitauri? Chief asked. Thanos' army, Thor explained, his hand already moving to summon his weapon, a hammer that flew through the air to his grip, crackling with lightning. The aliens he used during the first invasion of New York, but they should all be dead. We destroyed their command structure when we killed Thanos. Apparently someone rebuilt it, Banner said, his skin already beginning to turn green. Or these are survivors. Either way, they're coming here. For the stones, Chief's tactical assessment kicked into overdrive. 4 minutes. Unknown enemy force. Compound full of civilians and limited defensive capability. Avengers present. Hulk crippled arm but still dangerous. Thor, God of Thunder, heavy hitter. Sharon Carter, skilled operative but baseline human. Peter Parker, superhuman but young and inexperienced. Riri Williams, Iron Man armor, solid tech. Against Chitauri. Chief didn't know their full capabilities, but if they'd invaded New York and required Avengers to stop them, they were a significant threat. Defensive positions, Chief ordered, then caught himself. Sorry, not my command. No, you're right, Banner said, his transformation to Hulk progressing. Thor, you've got air defense. Peter, evacuate non-combatants to the lower levels. Sharon, coordinate with Friday on defensive systems. Riri. I'm already suiting up, Riri called, her nanotech armor flowing over her body. Chief, you got any weapons besides that pistol? Chief checked his remaining ammunition, 6 rounds in the Magnum, no rifle, 4 grenades. And in his armor storage, 5 Infinity Stones he refused to use. I'll make do, he said. There's an armory on sublevel 3, Banner said, his voice deepening as Hulk took over. Friday, give Chief access, and Chief. The massive green figure looked at him seriously. If it comes down to survival of this compound versus your principles about the stones, I need to know you'll do what's necessary. Chief met Hulk's eyes. Saw the weight of someone who'd already made that choice, who'd crippled himself using the stones to save the universe, who understood the cost of godlike power. If it comes to that, Chief said carefully, I'll make the call. But it won't come to that. Spartans don't need superweapons to win fights. We just need clear objectives and targets. Then your objective, Thor said, lightning crackling around Stormbreaker, is to defend this compound and the stones you carry. Your targets are anything that comes through those doors that isn't us. And Spartan? He grinned, the expression fierce and battle-hungry. Welcome to the Avengers idea of a Tuesday. Chief accessed the armory through Friday's guidance, finding weapons that were impressive by Earth standards: advanced rifles, energy weapons, even a few pieces of Chitauri tech that had been reverse-engineered. He selected what he needed: a combat rifle with high-capacity magazines, additional grenades, and a combat knife to replace the one he'd left in Cull Obsidian's corpse. As he moved into defensive position, Cortana spoke quietly. Chief, the stones are reacting to the approaching threat. I'm reading energy fluctuations. They want to be used. They're almost calling to you. I hear them, Chief admitted. And he did a whisper in the back of his mind, a promise that one touch of the Power Stone would end this battle before it began. One gesture with the Space Stone would teleport the entire Chitauri fleet into a star. One thought with the Reality Stone would make the threat simply cease to exist. So easy, so tempting. Don't listen, Cortana urged. Please, John. I know what it's like to have power whispering solutions. I know how it corrupts. Don't let them make you what I became. I won't, Chief promised. Through the compound's reinforced windows he could see the Chitauri ships, descending massive organic-looking craft, disgorging smaller fighters and troop carriers. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. This was going to be a fight. But Master Chief had fought impossible odds before. And he'd do it again, without becoming a god. The first Chitauri wave hit the compound's outer perimeter 90 seconds after Chief reached his defensive position. From his vantage point on the compound's second-floor balcony, Chief had clear sight lines across the main approach. The aliens were unlike anything in UNSC databases: bipedal but clearly not evolved for their armor. More like organic drones and cybernetic shells. They moved with insectoid coordination, weapons charged and firing in synchronized volleys. Friday. Enemy count, Chief requested as he sighted down his acquired rifle, an advanced plasma weapon that Stark Industries had apparently reverse-engineered from Chitauri tech. Approximately 800 ground forces in first wave, the AI responded. Air support includes 47 flyers and 12 command carriers. Analyzing tactical patterns. Chief, they're not attacking randomly. They're moving in a search pattern specifically targeting the section of the compound where your biosign is strongest. They're coming for the stones, Cortana confirmed. Someone told them exactly where to find us. This is a targeted strike, not random attack. Chief filed that information. There was a leak or a tracker somewhere and focused on immediate threats. Rules of engagement? Whatever it takes to keep them out. Banner's voice came through, the Hulk's deeper tone underneath. We're evacuating civilians, but we need time. Understood. Chief acquired his first target, a Chitauri soldier advancing with an energy weapon. He fired. The plasma bolt caught its center mass and the alien went down. Engaging. The battle became a symphony of controlled violence. Chief moved through firing positions with practiced efficiency, using the compound's architecture for cover and concealment. 3 shots, 3 targets down, relocate before return fire could track him. 5 shots into a cluster of advancing soldiers, grenade to scatter their formation, transition to new angle. His Spartan training had prepared him for this: outnumbered, surrounded, using superior tactics to compensate for numerical disadvantage. The Chitauri were numerous but predictable, following programmed assault patterns that Chief's combat analysis dissected in real time. Contact, right? Riri's voice called over the comm. She streaked past Chief's position in her Iron Man armor, repulsors blazing, taking down a squad of flyers. These things are like the New York invasion, but dumber. It's like they're following a script, because they are, Cortana interjected. I'm intercepting their command frequencies. They're receiving direct orders from the command carriers, no independent thought. Take out the carriers and the ground forces lose coordination. On it! Thor's voice boomed. Lightning split the sky as the god of thunder descended into the Chitauri formation like a meteor. Stormbreaker sang through the air and a command carrier exploded in a shower of organic debris. That's one. Who wants the rest? Chief marked targets on the tactical network Friday had linked him to. Riri, carrier at bearing 270. Peter, your fastest carrier at 0-9-5. I'll suppress ground forces. Got it. Peter's enthusiasm was almost jarring amid the violence. Spider-Man swung through the battle on impossible trajectories, webbing up Chitauri soldiers and using their own weapons against them. The kid was skilled, Chief noted, but reckless trading safety for speed. Peter, watch your six, Chief called, spotting 3 flyers converging on Spider-Man's position. He fired, dropped 2, and the third fell to Riri's repulsor blast. Thanks, Chief. Peter called. Man, you guys don't mess around. Is this what Avengers stuff is always like? Usually worse. Sharon Carter's voice cut in. She was coordinating from the compound's command center, but Chief could hear weapons fire in the background. We've got breach on the east wall. Chitauri are inside the perimeter. Hulk smash. The simple declaration was followed by the sound of tremendous impacts. Through a window, Chief saw the green giant literally throwing Chitauri soldiers through walls. Hulk's crippled arm didn't slow him. He fought one-handed with a fury that scattered entire formations. Chief reloaded, advanced to a new position, and found himself facing something different. A Chitauri that was larger, more heavily armored, carrying what looked like a plasma cannon designed for anti-vehicle work. Cortana? Analysis? Heavy assault variant. That cannon will punch through the compound's walls. Recommend priority elimination. The heavy Chitauri acquired Chief as a target and fired. The plasma bolt was massive, superheated, and Chief's Spartan reflexes barely got him clear before it vaporized the wall section where he'd been standing. The heat washed over his shields, dropping them to 40%. Shields critical, Cortana warned. That thing will kill you in one hit if your shields are down, Chief assessed. The heavy was advancing, charging for another shot. Standard tactics said retreat, regroup, engage from better position. But retreat meant it reached the compound, where civilians were still evacuating. He charged instead. The Chitauri clearly wasn't programmed for prey that advanced toward it. Chief covered the distance in seconds, his Spartan speed turning him into a blur. The heavy fired, but Chief was already sliding under the shot, coming up inside its minimum range. He jammed his plasma rifle into the joint of its armor and fired on full auto. The heavy's armor held for 3 shots, the 4th punched through. The 5th hit something vital. The Chitauri collapsed, and Chief was already moving, using its corpse for cover as more soldiers converged on his position. Chief, your tactics are insane, Riri observed. You just charged a heavy assault unit with a rifle. Spartan tactics, Chief replied, firing around the heavy's corpse. Close with and destroy the enemy. When you're outnumbered, aggressive action is often safer than defensive waiting. That's the most batshit military doctrine I've ever heard. It works. Chief threw his last grenade into a cluster of approaching Chitauri, and the explosion scattered them. Thor, status on command carriers? 3 down, 9 remaining. Lightning arced across the battlefield as Thor systematically destroyed the Chitauri command structure. But they're adapting, spreading out to prevent concentrated strikes. Then we split their attention, Chief said, his tactical mind already forming a plan. Riri, Thor, you handle air superiority. Peter, Hulk ground forces. Sharon, ensure civilian evacuation is complete. I'll advance on their landing zone and destroy their reinforcement capability. That's a suicide run, Sharon protested. You'll be surrounded by hundreds of hostiles. That's the idea, Chief replied. Concentrated enemy force means they're not attacking the compound. Friday, mark me on everyone's HUD. Anyone near my position is hostile. He advanced before anyone could countermand the order, moving through the battle with lethal purpose. Chitauri soldiers tried to stop him. He killed them. A flyer strafed his position. He shot it out of the air with precise fire. The aliens' coordination was breaking down as Thor eliminated command carriers. But there were still hundreds of them, and they were all between Chief and his objective. Chief, I'm detecting energy buildups in the stones, Cortana warned. They're reacting to the combat stress. The Power Stone especially, it wants to be used. It's radiating potential. Chief felt it, a warmth in his armor storage, a whisper that one touch would end this battle instantly. One surge of the Power Stone's energy and every Chitauri on the battlefield would simply cease to exist. Ignore it, Chief said. They're offering you victory without cost. No such thing. Chief's rifle clicked empty. He transitioned to his magnum, firing the last 6 rounds with perfect precision. 6 headshots. 6 dead Chitauri. Then the pistol was empty too, and he drew his combat knife. Close-quarters combat against aliens wearing cybernetic armor should have been suicide. But Chief had been fighting in close quarters since he was 14 years old. The knife found gaps in the armor, throats, joints, eye slits. The Spartans' enhanced strength let him tear weapons from Chitauri hands and use them against their owners. He fought through the alien formation like a scythe through wheat, and behind him, the Avengers capitalized on the chaos. Thor's lightning struck where Chief had broken their lines. Hulk smashed through gaps Chief had created. Riri and Peter eliminated stragglers. Chief reached the Chitauri landing zone, a cleared area where their troop carriers were disgorging reinforcements, and assessed his options. No ammunition, no grenades. Just a knife and his armor's remaining strength. And 5 infinity stones that could solve this with a thought. Chief, please, Cortana said, and there was genuine fear in her voice. You're going to get yourself killed for pride. Just use the Power Stone, just once. And this. No. Why? Why are you so stubborn about this? Because, Chief said, advancing toward the nearest troop carrier. The moment I decide my life is worth more than my principles, I become something I'm not willing to be. He jumped, his Spartan strength carrying him onto the carrier's hull, and drove his knife into what looked like a power conduit. The carrier's system sparked and failed. He moved to the next one, repeating the sabotage, and the Chitauri finally realized what he was doing. They converged on his position, dozens of them, all firing. Chief's shields failed completely. Energy bolts scorched his armor, melting through plates that had been designed to withstand Covenant plasma. He felt pain, real, burning pain, as damage penetrated to the bodysuit beneath. Shields down. Cortana screamed. Armor integrity compromised. Chief, you're going to die. Chief destroyed another carrier, then another. The Chitauri were surrounding him now, a wall of alien soldiers all firing at once. His armor was failing. His body was failing. But he disabled 4 carriers, and that meant 400 fewer reinforcements reaching the compound. Good trade, his tactical mind calculated. His life for 400 civilian lives saved. He prepared for the final carrier, knowing he wouldn't survive reaching it. Then lightning struck. Not from the sky, from inside Chief's armor. From the Power Stone, reacting to his imminent death, flooding his body with energy that burned and healed simultaneously. The purple energy erupted from his storage compartment, arcing across his damaged armor, and the world exploded in violet light. No! Chief roared, trying to force the stone's energy back to contain it, but it was too late. The Power Stone had tasted combat, tasted his desperation, and it wanted to help. The energy wave expanded outward, and every Chitauri within 50 meters simply disintegrated. Not killed, erased, reduced to atomic particles by raw power that made nuclear weapons look gentle. Chief fell to his knees, the stone's energy fading, leaving him shaking and horrified by what had just happened. Chief? Cortana's voice was small. What just happened? I used it, Chief said, his voice hollow. The stone forced itself active when I was dying. I used an infinity stone. To save your life, Cortana argued. That's not the same as... It is exactly the same. Chief stood on shaking legs, looking at the crater where Chitauri had been. I said I wouldn't use them. I said discipline mattered more than power. And the first time I was truly threatened, the stone activated. Which means I can't be trusted with them. Which means... He was interrupted by Thor landing beside him, Stormbreaker resting on his shoulder. The god of thunder looked at the devastation, then at Chief's damaged armor. You used the Power Stone, Thor observed. It activated when I was dying. But you tried to stop it. I felt you resisting. Thor's expression was understanding. The stones have will, Spartan. They want to be used. They whisper solutions. The fact that you fought it even as it saved your life. He placed a hand on Chief's shoulder. That is more restraint than most show. It's not enough, Chief said. I can't carry them if I can't control them absolutely. Then perhaps, a new voice said, you need help controlling them. Chief turned to see Dr. Strange stepping through a portal circular orange, decorated with mystical symbols that made no sense to his tactical database. The sorcerer wore robes and an amulet that Chief's sensors identified as containing another energy signature similar to the stones. Dr. Stephen Strange, the man introduced himself. Master of the mystic arts, and I've been watching your journey with the Infinity Stones with great interest. He looked at Chief seriously. You need training, Spartan. Training in how to resist cosmic temptation. And fortunately, I know something about wielding power that wants to consume you. Around them, the Chitauri forces were retreating, their command structure destroyed, their reinforcements eliminated. The battle was won. But Chief felt like he'd lost something vital, his absolute certainty that he could resist the stone's influence. The war between discipline and power had just gotten much harder. Dr. Strange's sanctum sanctorum was impossible. Chief stood in the main chamber, his tactical mind trying and failing to process architecture that violated Euclidean geometry. Staircases led to ceilings that became floors. Windows showed views that couldn't exist simultaneously. Artifacts from across Earth's mystical history lined shelves that were somehow larger on the inside than the outside. Stop trying to analyze it logically, Strange said, moving through the space with practiced ease. His red cloak billowed behind him without wind. Magic doesn't follow the physical laws you're accustomed to. Your AI is probably having the same problem. Understatement, Cortana muttered in Chief's helmet. My spatial mapping algorithms are returning error codes I didn't know were possible. This building shouldn't exist. It's actively offensive to physics. Strange smiled slightly. Good, that means it's working. He gestured for Chief to follow, leading him deeper into the sanctum. The Avengers agreed to let me work with you for 2 reasons. First, because I'm one of the few people on Earth who understands what you're fighting. And second, because if you fail to control the stones, I'm one of the few who might be able to stop you. The void shimmered, a tear in the fabric of space-time, and through it stepped a figure clad in green armor, rifle held at a low ready. He found himself on a floating rock, a nexus of fractured realities. Before him stood a man in a blue tunic and a red, high-collared cape that seemed to have a life of its own. Another lost soldier, adrift in the multiverse, the man said, his voice calm, yet carrying an ancient weight. I am Dr. Stephen Strange, and you are? The armored giant straightened, his helmet's gold visor reflecting the swirling cosmos. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117. My designation. Where is this place? The architecture doesn't match any known Covenant or Forerunner designs. Strange smiled faintly. You're a long way from home, Chief. This is the crossroads of eternity, a place between places. Tell me, in your reality, have you encountered objects of immense, world-altering power? Artifacts that defy conventional physics? The Chief's posture didn't change, but a subtle shift in his weight betrayed his contemplation. The Forerunners built halo installations. Rings capable of sterilizing the galaxy of all sentient life. They called it the ultimate weapon. A necessary evil to stop a parasitic flood. A galaxy-wide reset, Strange mused, stroking his chin. Crude, but effective. Here we had something similar in concept, but different in form. 6 singularities, remnants from the dawn of creation, forged into what we call the Infinity Stones. Stones? The Chief's synthesized voice was flat, betraying no emotion. You're telling me pebbles hold the power to wipe out a galaxy? Not just pebbles, Chief. Each one governs a fundamental aspect of existence. Space, mind, reality, power, time, and soul. The Space Stone, for instance, could fold the universe, allowing instantaneous travel. Imagine deploying your forces anywhere in the cosmos in the blink of an eye, no slip space drive required. Master Chief considered this logistically advantageous. It would have ended the war with the Covenant decades sooner. Fewer casualties, precisely. Then there's the Mind Stone. It grants access to every thought, every dream, across every living being. Imagine knowing your enemy's strategy before they even conceive it. It could also unify minds, creating a collective consciousness. A forced peace. A peace without free will is just another form of control. We fought the Covenant to preserve our freedom, not to have it stripped away by a different master. Strange nodded in approval. A wise perspective. Your AI companion, Cortana. She grew beyond her programming, didn't she? A form of artificial sentience. The Mind Stone could grant true consciousness to any machine or enslave it. The wielder's intent is everything. He gestured, and a green shimmering jewel materialized in his palm. The Time Stone, my personal area of expertise. It allows one to see all possible futures, to live a single moment for an eternity, or to reverse catastrophic events. I once viewed over 14 million possible outcomes of a single battle to find the one path to victory. The chief's head tilted slightly. 14 million. The odds of success? 1. A long silence stretched between them. The weight of that single number hung in the air. In my experience, the chief finally said, luck is a factor, but you can't rely on it. You make your own luck. One right choice is all you need, but you have to be there to make it. And what if you could guarantee that right choice? Strange countered, the green light of the stone pulsing. What if you could rewind every mistake, every fallen comrade? You could bring them back. War is paid in loss. You honor the fallen by finishing the fight, not by rewriting history. Changing the past creates paradoxes, unforeseen consequences. The mission is always forward, spoken like a true soldier, but one of the reality stone. It doesn't just change the past, it changes what is. It can turn bullets into bubbles, starships into butterflies. It rewrites the very laws of physics to suit the wielder's whim. In the wrong hands, it's a weapon of absolute chaos. Weapons are tools. The user is the variable. I've seen Forerunner technology that could re-engineer entire species. The principle is the same. The greater the power, the greater the discipline required to control it. And the Power Stone, Strange continued, a purple gleam now replacing the green. It is pure, untamed cosmic energy. It amplifies the other stones and on its own possesses enough force to crack a planet in half. It's raw, destructive might. The chief's hand instinctively tightened on his rifle. Like a Spartan laser magnified 1 billion times. Uncontained energy is a risk to everyone, including the user. It requires a containment field, a regulator. The stones are their own regulators if one is strong enough to handle them. A titan named Thanos managed to wield all 6 at once. He believed the universe was overpopulated, that life was consuming itself. So, with a snap of his fingers, he erased half of all living beings. A random impartial culling, the chief stood motionless. The concept was familiar, yet horrifyingly different. The halo array was a last resort against an unstoppable parasite. This Thanos, he targeted everyone. Innocent and guilty alike, not a strategic strike. It was genocide on a cosmic scale. He saw it as mercy, Strange said quietly. A necessary correction to save the whole. He believed his will was strong enough to make the hardest choices. His will wasn't the problem. His solution was, you don't save a patient by killing them. There's always another way, a better way, is there? That brings us to the final, most mysterious of them all. The Soul Stone. It has a certain sentience, a dark wisdom. It governs life and death itself and demands a terrible price to be claimed, the sacrifice of that which you love most. A soul for a soul. The chief's visor stared into the swirling void. The name echoed in the silence of his mind. Cortana, the sacrifice he had to make, the loss that still defined him. Sacrifice, the chief's voice was lower, rougher, is a soldier's duty. We give our lives so others can live theirs. But to be forced to sacrifice someone else, someone you care for, that's not a choice. It's a violation. It is the ultimate test of will, isn't it? Strange said, his expression somber. To achieve ultimate power, you must endure ultimate loss. The stones aren't just tools, Chief, they are a mirror. They reflect the user's deepest desires, their greatest strengths, and their most profound flaws. They grant you the power to save the universe, but they also tempt you to destroy it and yourself along with it. The two figures, the supersoldier and the sorcerer supreme, stood looking out at the endless possibilities of the multiverse. So these stones, Master Chief finally spoke, his voice resonating with a new understanding. They are the ultimate weapon and the ultimate weakness, combined. Strange looked at him, a newfound respect in his eyes. Exactly. The paradox of absolute power. That's the lesson. John 117. Whether it's a halo ring or an infinity gauntlet, the greatest danger isn't the weapon itself. It's the person who wields it. The chief nodded slowly, the gold of his visor seeming to burn a little brighter. Understood. The mission remains the same. Protect humanity. No matter the cost, no matter the power. He looked at the sorcerer. Thank you for the briefing, Doctor. It's been informative. Strange gave a small bow. The multiverse is vast, Chief. Our paths may cross again. Until then, finish your fight. With a wave of his hand, the tier in reality opened once more, revealing the familiar metal corridors of a starship. Master Chief stepped through without hesitation, leaving the sorcerer alone at the crossroads of all that ever was, and all that ever will be. The Power Stone is raw destruction, but also raw potential, Strange explained. It doesn't want to destroy, it wants to be expressed. When you were fighting, it felt your determination and amplified it. If you'd been creating instead of destroying, it would have amplified that instead. The Space Stone is about connection and separation. It can bring things together or tear them apart. It activated when you wanted to protect distance between you and your enemies. The Reality Stone is the most dangerous because it responds to unconscious desires. If you dream of a better world, it will try to make that dream real without regard for consequences. The Mind Stone amplifies intelligence and consciousness. It would make Cortana godlike if she touched it. But it would also potentially cure her rampancy completely. That's the temptation you're both fighting. The Time Stone shows you what could be. Every mistake you've made, every Spartan who died it, could show you how to undo it all. But changing the past creates paradoxes that can destroy timelines. And the Soul Stone, Strange paused. That one you don't have, and I'm grateful. It understands sacrifice and loss in ways that would break most people. Be glad you refused its price. As the teaching session progressed, Chief felt something shift. The stones in his armor storage, they were still there, still powerful, still dangerous. But the constant whisper had quieted. Instead of demanding to be used, they simply existed, waiting, patient. You're learning, Strange observed. I can see it in your energy signature. The stones are still offering power, but you're no longer fighting them. You're simply choosing not to accept their offers. That's progress. It feels fragile, Chief admitted. Like one moment of weakness and everything collapses. Because it is fragile. Discipline always is. Strange's expression was understanding. I've wielded the Time Stone for years, and I still have moments where the temptation is overwhelming. The difference between a master and a novice isn't the absence of temptation. It's the recognition that temptation will always exist. And the choice to resist it anyway. A portal opened in the chamber, Strange's circular doorways cutting through space. Through it, Chief could see the Avengers compound. They're ready for you to return, Strange said. There's been a development. The Black Order has regrouped. And they're not coming for the stones this time. Then what are they coming for? Chief asked. Leverage. Strange's expression was grim. They've captured someone. A young woman named Kamala Khan's Marvel. She was on a mission when they ambushed her. And they're offering a trade. Her life for the Infinity Stones. Chief stood immediately, his soldier's instincts overriding everything else. Hostage situation. Time frame, 12 hours. They want you to bring the stones to an abandoned Stark facility in New Jersey. Alone. Strange studied Chief carefully. This is a test, Spartan. Not from the Black Order, from the stones themselves. They're going to offer you an easy solution. Use the Space Stone to teleport in and out. Use the Power Stone to kill the captors. Use the Reality Stone to make the whole situation simply not have happened. And if I use them? Then you prove that discipline fails when the stakes are high enough. That you'll compromise your principles to save lives. And once you've compromised once, Strange didn't need to finish. Chief looked at the stone storage compartment in his armor. Felt their presence. Their patient willingness to solve everything instantly. Felt the weight of knowing that a young woman's life hung in the balance, and he held the power to save her effortlessly. I need tactical options, Chief said. What do we know about the facility? About Kamala Khan's capabilities? About the Black Order's current strength? You're not going to use the stones, Strange observed. No, Chief confirmed. I'm going to plan a hostage rescue operation using conventional tactics. Because that's what soldiers do. We solve problems with strategy and execution, not unlimited power. Strange smiled, a genuine expression of approval. Good. Then let's get you back to the Avengers. Because if you're doing this the hard way, you're going to need a team. As Chief stepped through the portal back to the compound, Cortana spoke quietly. John, you know they'll try to force the issue. Put you in a situation where using the stones is the only way to save her. I know, Chief replied. That's what makes this a test. And I don't plan to fail. But in the back of his mind, a question lingered. What would he do if it came down to saving Kamala Khan or maintaining his principles? Master Chief had always chosen mission over personal comfort. But was this mission don't use the stones or save the innocent? And if those two missions conflicted, which one would win? The tactical briefing at Avengers compound was tense. Chief stood before a holographic display showing the abandoned Stark Industries facility in Newark, New Jersey, a decommissioned weapons research center that had been mothballed after Tony Stark shut down his arms manufacturing division. The building was 40 stories of reinforced concrete and steel, designed to withstand internal explosions from experimental munitions. Perfect fortress for a hostage situation. Kamala Khan, codename Miss Marvel, Banner explained, pulling up her file. 16 years old, inhuman with polymorphic abilities, she can stretch, grow, shrink, and heal rapidly. Smart, brave, and completely inexperienced in situations like this. She was investigating unusual energy signatures in Jersey City when the Black Order grabbed her. Why her? Sharon Carter asked. If they wanted leverage, why not go after someone more connected to the Avengers? Because she's a symbol, Peter Parker said quietly. The young Spider-Man looked shaken. Kamala looks up to heroes. She became Ms. Marvel because she wanted to help people like the Avengers do. Taking her, it's psychological warfare. They're saying nobody's safe, not even kids who just want to help. Chief studied the facility's layout. Multiple entry points, but all would be monitored. The Black Order would expect infiltration attempts and have countermeasures. They'd chosen this location specifically because it gave them defensive advantages. Cortana, analysis. His AIS avatar appeared over the holographic table. The facility's internal structure is a maze laboratories, testing chambers, vault systems. Approximately 400 rooms across 40 floors. Even with Ms. Khan's polymorphic abilities, she could be anywhere. Thermal scanning is blocked by the building's experimental shielding. Stark designed this place to contain energy weapon testing, which means our sensors are nearly useless. So we're going in blind, Riri said, her Iron Man armor's faceplate open. Against the Black Order, in a fortress designed by the greatest weapons manufacturer in history, to rescue someone who could be literally anywhere in the building. While Chief is carrying 5 Infinity Stones that could solve this instantly, Thor added. He wasn't being accusatory, just stating facts. The Space Stone could teleport you directly to her. The Mind Stone could reveal her location. The Reality Stone could make the Black Order simply not exist. We're not using the stones, Chief said firmly. Even to save a child? Sharon challenged. I've read your file, the parts Cortana shared. You've made hard calls before, sacrificed soldiers to complete missions. Why is this different? Why is your principle about not using the stones more important than Kamala's life? Chief met her gaze. Because if I use the stones to save her, I prove that my principles are negotiable. That I'll compromise when the stakes are high enough. And once I've established that pattern, where does it stop? Do I use them to save 2 people? 10? A city? At what point does emergency use only become routine tactical option? That's a slippery slope argument, Banner countered. Sometimes there are genuine emergencies that require extraordinary measures. I know, Chief acknowledged. I've used Forerunner weapons when I had no choice. I've activated Halo rings to stop the flood. But those were last resorts after exhausting every other option. This? He gestured at the tactical display. This is a hostage rescue. Difficult, but not impossible. We have 12 hours to plan and execute. That's more time than I've had for most rescue operations. Then what's your plan? Riri asked. Chief studied the display, his tactical mind processing variables. We don't know where Kamala is being held, which means we need reconnaissance. We can't use conventional sensors, which means we need eyes inside. The Black Order is expecting me to come alone with the stones, which we can use as a diversion. You're going to offer yourself as bait, Peter realized. Partially. I'll approach openly, request proof of life, negotiate for time. Standard hostage protocols. While I'm keeping their attention, someone else infiltrates and locates Kamala. Someone small and quiet, Sharon said, looking at Peter. Spider-Man, Peter straightened. I can do it. I've done stealth missions before. Well, I tried stealth during the Berlin airport thing. But that didn't really work out because Mr. Stark's new web shooters were really loud and he caught himself. Sorry. Yes, I can infiltrate. You'll need support, Chief said. Riri, can your armor sensors penetrate the facility's shielding if you're inside the building? Possibly. The shielding is designed to block external scans, but internal might work differently. I need to get close. Then you're Peter's backup. Infiltrate separately. Coordinate once inside. Chief turned to Thor. You're our contingency. If this goes wrong and we need immediate extraction, can you breach the building? I can bring down the entire structure if necessary, Thor confirmed, Stormbreaker appearing in his hand. Though I'd prefer not to if the girl is inside. Only as last resort. Chief looked at Banner. Hulk, you're our perimeter security. The Black Order might have reinforcements waiting. If they try to flank us or escape with Kamala, you intercept. Got it, Banner said, his skin already showing a greenish tinge as he prepared for transformation. Sharon, you coordinate from here. Monitor communications, track our positions, and be ready to call in S.H.I.E.L.D. resources if we need them. S.H.I.E.L.D. is barely functional after the blip, Sharon reminded him. But I'll do what I can. Chief downloaded the facility's blueprints to his armor's HUD, cross-referencing with UNSC tactical databases for similar structures. We go in 4 hours. That gives Peter and Riri time to prep infiltration gear, gives me time to establish initial contact, and gives the Black Order time to think they're winning. 4 hours, Cortana observed privately in his helmet. They demanded you come in 12. You're accelerating their timeline. Hostage takers want control, Chief explained. They set the timeline, the location, the terms. By moving faster than they expect, we disrupt their sense of control. Makes them reactive instead of proactive. That's dangerous if they panic and kill Kamala. They won't. They need her alive to maintain leverage. The moment they harm her, they lose the only card they're holding. The next 4 hours were intensive preparation. Peter upgraded his web shooters with sound dampeners and practiced silent movement patterns. Riri calibrated her armor's internal sensors and loaded stealth protocols. Thor meditated, or whatever Asgardian gods did before battle, while Banner reviewed structural data to identify optimal entry points for Hulk if needed. Chief used the time for equipment check and mental preparation. His armor had been repaired by Stark Industries fabricators, the plasma damage patched with vibranium composite plating that was actually superior to the original Mjolnir design. His weapons were loaded, tactics reviewed, contingencies planned. And through it all the stones whispered, not loudly, not demanding, just offering. The Space Stone could show him exactly where Kamala was. The Mind Stone could tell him what the Black Order was planning. The Power Stone could ensure their defeat. So easy. So simple, Chief ignored them. Applied the meditation techniques Strange had taught him. Observed the temptation without accepting it. Let the offers exist without acting on them. You're getting better at this, Cortana observed. The stones are barely registering on my sensors. You've achieved some kind of equilibrium with them. For now, Chief said. But the real test comes when we're inside that facility, when Kamala's life is in immediate danger, when using the stones would guarantee success. That's when discipline matters most. 2 hours before the Black Order's deadline, Chief stood in the compound's armory, checking his final loadout. MA-40 assault rifle, M6D Magnum, combat knife, 4 fragmentation grenades, standard Spartan kit. Nothing exotic. Nothing that relied on power he couldn't trust himself to control. Strange appeared through one of his portals, his expression serious. You're really doing this without the stones, the sorcerer observed. Yes. Even though statistically, your chances of success drop by approximately 70% without them. How do you know that? The Time Stone showed me possible futures before I returned it to its proper timeline. In timelines where you use the stones to rescue Kamala, you succeed 98% of the time. In timelines where you refuse, 28% success rate. Chief absorbed this information. 28%, barely better than 1 in 4. Those were terrible odds, especially with a teenager's life at stake. And in how many of those successful timelines where I use the stones do I eventually become corrupted by them? Chief asked. Strange was quiet for a moment. 73%. So if I use them to save Kamala, I have a nearly 3/4 chance of eventually becoming what I'm trying to avoid. And if I don't use them, she has a 3/4 chance of dying. Chief checked his rifle one final time. Those are the kind of impossible choices soldiers face. No good options. Just less terrible ones. And which is less terrible? Strange asked. Maintaining your principles or saving a child? I don't know, Chief admitted. But I know that if I compromise my principles the first time they're seriously tested, I never had real principles to begin with. Just convenient guidelines that I abandon when they're inconvenient. That's remarkably philosophical for a soldier. Spartans are raised to make hard choices. This is just another one. Chief looked at Strange directly. If I fail tonight, if Kamala dies because I refuse to use the stones, I'll have to live with that. But if I succeed while maintaining discipline, I prove that power isn't the only path to victory. That sometimes the hard way is the right way. Strange nodded slowly. I'll be watching, and if you fail, he didn't need to finish. If Chief failed and Kamala died, Strange would take the stones. By force if necessary. Understood, Chief said. The tactical team assembled at the compound's landing pad. Chief in full Mjolnir. Peter in his Spider-Man suit, upgraded with Stark tech. Riri in her Iron Man armor, running silent protocols. Thor in Asgardian armor, Stormbreaker humming with contained power. And Banner slowly transforming into Hulk as the mission approached. Remember the plan, Chief said. I make contact, establish proof of life, buy time. Peter and Riri infiltrate during the distraction. Thor and Hulk maintain perimeter security. Sharon coordinates. Nobody engages unless absolutely necessary. This is a rescue mission, not an assault. And if they refuse to negotiate? Peter asked. Then it becomes an assault, Chief said simply. But we exhaust diplomatic options first. They boarded a Quinjet Avengers tactical aircraft that reminded Chief of a Pelican but with more exotic technology. The flight to Newark took 40 minutes, during which Chief reviewed the facility blueprints one final time and tried not to think about the 28% success rate. Chief, Cortana said privately, I've been running tactical simulations. Without the stones, our optimal success path requires nearly perfect execution and at least 3 lucky breaks. With the stones, success is nearly guaranteed. I know, and you're still committed to doing this the hard way? Yes. Even if Kamala dies? Chief was quiet for a long moment. Then, if she dies because I made the wrong call, I'll live with that guilt. But if she dies because I refuse to compromise my principles, then her death means something. It means there are still people in the universe who believe power isn't the answer to every problem. That sometimes you have to suffer loss to prevent greater corruption. That's cold comfort for a dead teenager, Cortana said. I know. But it's the only comfort I can offer while still remaining who I am. The Quinjet set down 3 blocks from the Stark facility. Through the windows, Chief could see the abandoned building, dark, massive, ominous against the night sky. Somewhere inside, a 16-year-old girl who D just wanted to be a hero was being held hostage by aliens who D helped commit genocide. And Chief was going to rescue her without using the godlike power he carried. Because if you couldn't save one person without becoming a god, then what was the point of being human? Time to move, Chief said, standing. Peter, Riri, give me 30 seconds to make contact, then begin your infiltration. Thor, Hulk establish perimeter. Sharon, maintain communications. Chief? Peter said as they prepared to disembark. Thanks for not using the easy solution. It means something that you're willing to risk failure to do this right. Thank me after we've rescued her, Chief replied. He stepped off the Quinjet and walked toward the Stark facility, carrying 5 Infinity Stones, refusing to use them and hoping that discipline would be enough. Behind him, Peter whispered to Riri, He is either the bravest person I've ever met or the most stubborn. Maybe both. Riri replied. And high above, Dr. Strange watched through mystical sight, counting down the possibilities. 28% chance of success. 72% chance of failure. 100% chance that the next few hours would define what kind of person Master Chief truly was. The test had begun. Chief approached the Stark facility's main entrance alone, his boots echoing against abandoned pavement. The building loomed above him, 40 stories of dark windows and steel, a monument to an era when Tony Stark had made weapons instead of heroes. Somewhere inside, the Black Order waited. And somewhere inside, a 16-year-old girl was counting on him. Cortana, active scan, Chief ordered quietly. Scanning. Detecting multiple life signs, 7 distinct signatures on the ground floor, clustered near what used to be the main reception area. No sign of Kamala yet, but the building's shielding is blocking deeper penetration. I'm also reading energy weapons on standby. They're ready for you. Chief activated his external speakers as he reached the entrance. This is Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, UNSC. I'm here to negotiate Kamala Khan's release. I'm armed but not hostile. Requesting contact with whoever's in command. The massive glass doors, cracked and weathered from years of abandonments, slid open with a hydraulic hiss that suggested someone had restored power to the building. Chief entered, his rifle held at low ready, scanning for threats. The reception area had been gutted. Where there once had been desks and security stations, now there was only empty space and structural pillars. And standing in the center, lit by emergency lighting, was Corvus Glaive. The Black Order lieutenant looked worse than when Chief had last seen him on Vormir. His shoulder still bore the scar from Chief's M40 round, and he moved with a slight favoring of his left side. But his blade was intact, crackling with energy, and his expression promised violence. The Spartan arrives, Corvus said, his voice carrying across the empty space. Alone, as instructed. And carrying the Infinity Stones, I presume. I'm carrying them, Chief confirmed. Show me proof of life for Kamala Khan. Then we'll discuss terms. Corvus gestured, and the wall-mounted screen flickered to life. The image showed a teenage girl in a red and blue costume, unconscious or sedated, restrained to a chair with energy bonds that pulsed with the same purple light as the Black Order's weapons. She was breathing. Chief could see her chest rising and falling, but clearly not awake. Satisfied? Corvus asked. No. I need to verify she's actually alive and unharmed, not just unconscious. Wake her up. You're not in a position to make demands, Spartan. Neither are you, Chief countered. You want the stones. I want the girl. But if I don't verify she's alive and well, this negotiation ends and my backup assaults this building. You've seen what Avengers can do when they're motivated. How long do you think you'll last against Thor and Hulk? Corvus's expression darkened, but he made another gesture. On the screen, one of the other Black Order members, a figure Chief didn't recognize, approached Kamala and injected something into her arm. After a moment, the girl's eyes fluttered open. She looked disoriented, frightened, but aware. Her eyes found the camera, and she spoke, her voice young and scared, but trying to be brave. Don't give them anything. I'm not worth. The feed cut. Proof of life provided, Corvus said. Now, the stones. Place them on the floor and step back. Once we have verified their authenticity, we'll release the girl. Counteroffer, Chief said. I see Kamala in person, verify she's unharmed, and then we make the exchange simultaneously. You get the stones, I get her. You think we're fools? The moment we release her, your backup will attack. And the moment I give you the stones, you'll kill us both, Chief replied. So we're at an impasse. Unless you're willing to do this properly simultaneous exchange, neutral territory within this building, both parties leave safely. Corvus considered this. Behind him, Chief's motion tracker showed the other Black Order members shifting positions, and he knew they were discussing options over their private communications. Meanwhile, 3 blocks away, Peter Parker was scaling the Stark facility's exterior wall with enhanced silence. His upgraded web shooters were nearly soundless, and his spider sense was hyperactive, warning him of sensor arrays that he carefully avoided. Riri, you in position? Peter whispered into his com. Affirmative, came the reply. Riri's Iron Man armor was running in full stealth mode, her signature masked, her approach from the building's service entrance undetected. I'm seeing heat signatures that might be Kamala, but I need to get closer. Chief's buying us time. Then let's not waste it, Peter said, finding a ventilation shaft that led into the building's upper floors. He was about to enter when his spider sense screamed a warning. He jerked aside just as an energy bolt scorched the wall where he'd been. On a nearby rooftop, more Black Order soldiers emerged from concealment, weapons raised. Ambush! Peter called over the comm. They had people waiting outside. They knew we'd send a team. Fall back to secondary position. Riri commanded, her armor's weapon systems activating. I'm engaging. Inside the facility, Corvus smiled coldly. Did you think we wouldn't anticipate your tactics, Spartan? Your backup is currently occupied. Which means you're alone. Which means you have no leverage. Chief's tactical assessment shifted instantly. The Black Order had planned for the obvious strategy main negotiator as distraction, infiltration team rescues hostage. They'd positioned forces to counter both elements. Which meant the mission parameters had just changed. Cortana. Options, Chief said quietly, knowing his external speakers were off. They've split our force. Peter and Riri are engaged on the perimeter, which means we have no infiltration capability. Thor and Hulk can breach, but that risks Kamala in the crossfire. She paused. Chief, the optimal solution is using the Space Stone to teleport directly to Kamala's location and extract her before they can react. No. Then the optimal conventional solution is accepting their terms, giving them the stones, and hoping they honor the agreement to release her. They won't. The moment they have the stones, we're all dead. Then what do you want to do? Chief studied the building's layout in his HUD, processing the tactical situation. 7 Black Order members on ground floor. Unknown number on perimeter, engaging Peter and Riri. Kamala somewhere in the upper floors, probably heavily guarded. No viable infiltration route. No way to assault without risking her life. Every conventional option led to failure. And in his armor storage, the stones whispered their solutions. So easy, so simple. One touch, and this entire situation resolved itself. Chief made his decision. Corvus, he said, raising his voice. I accept your terms. I'll give you the stones. But I deliver them to Kamala's location personally. I verify she's unharmed, I hand over the stones, and then you let us both walk out. Why would we agree to that? Because it's the only way you get the stones without a fight that destroys this building and potentially damages them. Chief replied. You've seen what the Power Stone does when it's activated in combat. Do you really want to risk that happening inside a confined structure? One stray discharge and this entire facility becomes a crater. Corvus consulted with his team again. Chief could see the calculation happening, weigh the risk of letting Chief get close to Kamala against the risk of the stones being damaged in combat. Finally, Corvus nodded. Double quotes, fine. You'll be escorted to the girl's location. Any hostile action and she dies instantly. Understood? Understood, Chief confirmed. 2 Black Order soldiers emerged from the shadows, weapons trained on Chief. They gestured for him to follow, and he did, allowing them to lead him deeper into the facility. As they moved, he activated his comm on a private channel. Sharon, update. What's Peter and Riri's status? Engaged with 6 hostiles on the east perimeter, Sharon reported from the compound. They're holding, but they can't advance. Thor is moving to support. Hulk is maintaining overwatch in case they try to extract Kamala through an unexpected route. Good. Tell them to keep the perimeter forces occupied. I'm being escorted to Kamala's location. Chief, that's walking into a trap. I know. But it's the only way to get close enough to extract her. He followed the guards through the facility's maze of corridors and stairwells, his tactical mind mapping every turn, every potential ambush point, every exit route. They were taking him up 15 floors, then 20, then 25. The higher they went, the more limited his extraction options became. Finally, they reached a laboratory space on the 32nd floor. The room was large, filled with deactivated equipment that had once tested Stark's weapon prototypes. And in the center, restrained to a reinforced chair with energy bonds, was Kamala Khan. She looked up as Chief entered, her eyes widening behind her mask. You're the soldier everyone's talking about. The one from another universe. Master Chief, he said. approaching her slowly while the guards tracked him with weapons. "I'm here to get you out. They said you had the Infinity Stones," Kamala whispered. "They said you could reshape reality itself. Why didn't you just, I don't know, wish me free or something?" "Because power like that always has consequences," Chief replied. He turned to the guards. "I've verified she's alive. Now release her restraints and I'll hand over the stones." "Stones first," one of the guards said. "Restraints first," Chief countered. "I'm not giving you ultimate power while you're holding a hostage. Release her and then we'll make the exchange." The guards looked at each other, clearly uncertain. Then Corvus Glaive's voice came through their communications, audible in the room's speakers. "Very well. Release her restraints, but keep weapons on her. The moment the stones are verified, you may leave. Any treachery and you both die. The energy bond's deactivated." Kamala stood on shaky legs, clearly affected by whatever they'd used to sedate her. Chief moved to support her, and that's when his tactical instincts screamed a warning. The guards were too confident, too relaxed. They should have been tense, weapons tracking Chief's every movement, ready for betrayal. Instead, they seemed satisfied, like everything was going according to plan. "Cortana, scan the room," Chief said quietly. "What aren't we seeing?" "Scanning." "Chief, there are energy signatures embedded in the walls. They're not weapons. They're containment fields? No, they're Chief. It's a trap. The entire room is rigged with technology designed to suppress the Infinity Stones. They're going to activate it the moment you hand them over, neutralize the stone's power, and then kill you both." Chief processed this in microseconds. The Black Order didn't just want the stones, they wanted them powerless, safe to handle. Which meant Corvus had planned for Chief's discipline, anticipated that he'd refuse to use them even in crisis, and designed a trap that turned that discipline into a weakness. "Very clever," Chief said aloud. "You're not trying to steal active Infinity Stones. You're trying to neutralize them first." Corvus's image appeared on a wall screen, smiling. "Did you think we didn't study you, Spartan? We've watched you fight. Watched you refuse to use the power you carry. Your discipline is admirable and exploitable. The moment you place the stones in our containment field, they become inert. And then they become ours. And if I refuse? Then we kill the girl, and we take the stones from your corpse. Either way, we win." Kamala looked at Chief, fear and hope warring in her expression. "What do we do?" Chief looked at the guards, weapons trained and ready. Looked at the containment field that would neutralize the stones the moment he handed them over. Looked at Kamala, 16 years old and terrified, counting on him to save her. Every tactical option led to failure. Every conventional strategy had been anticipated and countered. The Black Order had built a perfect trap. And in his armor storage, the Infinity Stones offered their solution. "Use us," they whispered. "Just this once. Save her, and this. You don't even have to kill, just teleport away with the Space Stone. Just use the Mind Stone to make them forget. Just reshape this moment with the Reality Stone. So easy. So simple. So utterly against everything he committed to." Chief looked at Kamala and made a decision that would either save them both or doom them. "Do you trust me?" he asked. I don't even know you," Kamala admitted. "Fair. Then trust this. I've spent 30 years getting out of impossible situations. And I'm not starting to fail now." He looked directly at Corvus's image on the screen. "You're right. I won't use the stones. My discipline isn't negotiable, but you made a mistake." "What mistake?" Corvus asked, genuinely curious. "You assumed discipline meant passivity. That refusing to use godlike power meant I had no power at all." Chief's voice hardened. "You forgot I'm a Spartan. We don't need Infinity Stones to win impossible fights. We just need conviction and a plan." "Then show me your plan, Spartan," Corvus challenged. "Show me how you escape my trap without using the power you carry." Chief smiled behind his helmet. "Cortana," he said. "Execute protocol blackout." "Are you sure?" she asked. "This is going to hurt." "Do it!" His armor's power systems surged, channeling every ounce of energy into his shields, not to protect him, but to create an electromagnetic pulse so powerful it would fry every piece of technology in a 50-meter radius, including the containment field, including the guards' weapons, including the facility's lights and security systems, including his own armor systems. The EMP detonated like a technological grenade. Every screen went dark. Every weapon powered down. The containment field collapsed. And Chief's armor became a powered-off tomb, all systems dead, leaving him in darkness with only his Spartan augmentations in training. "Run!" he shouted to Kamala, and even in the dark his enhanced vision could see her startled expression. To the exit now. The guards, blind and disarmed, tried to stop them. But Chief had 30 years of close-quarters combat experience, and they were stumbling in darkness. He moved with brutal efficiency, disarm, disable, neutralize. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Kamala's polymorphic powers activated her fist enlarged, smashing into a guard who'd gotten too close. "I can help." "Good," Chief said, his armor slowly beginning to reboot. "Because we've got 32 floors between us and extraction, and I'm betting Corvus has more guards." They ran. The darkness was absolute. Chief's Mjolnir armor was rebooting, systems coming online one by one with agonizing slowness. His HUD flickered, displaying boot sequences and diagnostic checks, while his enhanced vision, purely biological, independent of technology, tracked movement in the pitch-black facility. "This way." Chief grabbed Kamala's arm, guiding her through the laboratory toward where his mental map said the stairwell should be. Behind them, he could hear the Black Order guards recovering, shouting in their alien language, stumbling through the darkness. "I can't see anything," Kamala said, her voice tight with controlled panic. "I can. Stay close, match my pace." Chief's motion tracker was still offline, but his Spartan hearing picked up footsteps, multiple contacts, approaching from multiple directions. They'd converged on this floor the moment the EMP went off. "How long can you maintain your powers?" "I don't know. They injected me with something. I feel weird, like my powers are glitchy." As if to demonstrate, her arm suddenly stretched 3 feet longer than it should be, then snapped back. "See? I can't control it." "Then don't use them unless absolutely necessary. Conserve your energy." Chief's shields were still offline, but his armor's servos were beginning to respond. 20% functionality. Enough to move, but not enough to take hits. They reached the stairwell, and Chief kicked the door open his strength alone, no powered assistance. The emergency lighting was dead, but his enhanced vision could navigate the stairs even in total darkness. "Down," he ordered. "Fast as you can safely move." "I'll cover our rear." Kamala began descending, using the handrail to guide herself. Chief followed, walking backward, his combat knife drawn. His MA-40 was useless without power to the electronic firing mechanisms, and his Magnum's smart-link targeting was offline. But a knife worked in any circumstances. The stairwell door above them crashed open. Chief couldn't see them clearly yet, but he heard them, at least 4 Black Order soldiers, descending rapidly. They had the high ground in numbers. "Cortana, system status," Chief said quietly. 40% operational. Her voice was distorted by the armor's partial functionality. "Shields at 15%, HUD coming back online." "Chief, that EMP was a brilliant tactical move, but it's left us extremely vulnerable. Your armor can't take sustained fire in this condition." "Noted. Can you contact the team?" "Communications are... establishing connection." "Patchy, but functional. Rebooting comm systems now." "Sharon, do you copy?" Chief said as they descended past the 30th floor. "Static then." "Chief, we lost your signal when what happened?" "Triggered an EMP to collapse the containment field. Have Kamala extracting now." "Status of the perimeter team?" "Peter and Riri are still engaged. Thor is en route to their position. Hulk is we're detecting massive energy signatures in the building." "Chief, they're activating something. Friday can't identify it, but it's putting out enough power to..." The building shook. Not an earthquake, something worse. Chief felt it through his boots, through the stairwell walls, a thrumming vibration that spoke of massive machinery activating. "They're powering up the building's defensive systems," Kamala said from below him. "I heard them talking before you arrived. Something about Stark's old weapons testing protocols. They said if you tried anything, they'd activate the facility's original purpose." "Which was?" Chief asked, though he was already forming a tactical assessment. "Weapons testing under combat conditions. The whole building was designed to survive internal explosions and energy weapon discharges. They conceal it off, activate automated defenses, and the stairwell doors began to close. Heavy blast doors, descending from concealed positions in the ceiling, designed to compartmentalize the building in case of catastrophic testing failures. "Run!" Chief commanded. They ran. Kamala stretched her legs, control issues forgotten in survival instinct, and covered 3 stairs per step. Chief used his partially restored armor strength to leap entire flights, his boots clanging against metal as they raced the descending blast doors. 25th floor, the doors sealed above them with a hydraulic hiss. 22nd floor, another door sealed, cutting off their retreat. 18th floor, Chief saw the door beginning to descend ahead of them at the 17th floor. They wouldn't make it. "Kamala, begin," Chief shouted, using the term he'd heard her use in the mission files. "What? Make yourself big. Catch that door." Kamala's polymorphic abilities surged, whether from adrenaline or desperation. Her power stabilized for one crucial moment. She grew, her body expanding to fill the stairwell, and her hands caught the descending blast door. The hydraulics fought her, trying to close, but her enhanced strength held it open. "Go!" she grunted, straining against the mechanism. Chief dove through the gap, rolling to his feet on the 17th floor. "You next! Let go and shrink!" Kamala released the door and compressed herself, becoming small enough to slip through the narrowing gap. The blast doors slammed shut behind her with terminal finality. They were sealed in a section of the building floors 12 through 17, based on Chief's mental map. Above and below, blast doors prevented movement. And according to his motion tracker, which was finally coming back online, they weren't alone. 32 contacts, Cortana reported. Black Order forces converging on this floor from multiple directions. "They've corralled us into a kill box." "What's a kill box?" Kamala asked, though her tone suggested she already knew and didn't like the answer. "Tactical space with limited exits where the enemy has overwhelming firepower advantage," Chief explained. He was reviewing the 17th floor's layout in his HUD. It was an open plan testing floor-wide spaces, minimal cover, designed to observe weapons demonstrations. Perfect for an ambush. Terrible for defense. "We need to break out before they establish firing positions." "How?" "The doors are sealed, and I can't punch through whatever material Stark used for those blast doors." Chief looked at the floor's ceiling, at the ventilation systems, at the structural supports that held the building together. "We don't go through the doors. We make our own exit." He accessed the building's architectural plans that Friday had provided during the initial briefing. Found what he was looking for, a maintenance shaft that ran vertically through the building's core, designed to allow access to the testing floor's equipment. It was narrow, but Kamala could shrink, and Chief could fit if his armor was functional enough. "There," he pointed. "Maintenance access, 30 meters that way. We get there before they establish the kill box. We can bypass the blast doors. And if we don't get there in time, then we fight. And hope my armor reboots before they kill us." Chief's shields were at 42% and climbing. "Not ideal, but survivable if they moved fast. Stay behind me. When I say run, you run. When I say shrink, you shrink. Trust my combat judgment." "You sound like Captain Marvel," Kamala said, and despite their desperate situation, there was something like admiration in her voice. "She told me once that being a hero means trusting people who know what they're doing, even when you're scared." Captain Marvel was right. Chief checked his weapons. The MA-40 was still non-functional, but his Magnum's electronic components were simpler. It might work. He chambered a round manually, confirmed the firing mechanism was operational. 8 rounds, against 32 hostiles. Not great odds. But Spartans had won with worse. "Moving," Chief said and advanced. They crossed the open floor in tactical formation, Chief leading. Kamala following close enough to benefit from his situational awareness, but far enough to avoid being in his line of fire. The maintenance shaft access was visible ahead, a recessed door marked with warning symbols. They were 15 meters away when the Black Order forces emerged from cover. 8 soldiers, weapons raised, forming a firing line that blocked direct access to the shaft. More were approaching from the sides, the classic hammer and anvil, pinning them in the open with nowhere to hide. "Kamala, shrink and sprint for the shaft," Chief ordered. "Don't stop, don't look back. Get through and start descending." "What about you?" "I'll handle them," Go! Kamala's body compressed to maybe 3 feet tall, and she ran with the speed her reduced mass allowed. The Black Order soldiers tracked her movement, but Chief was already engaging, drawing their fire. His magnum spoke 8 times. 8 shots, 8 targets, not kills. These soldiers wore armor too advanced for that, but enough to stagger them, to break their formation, to give Kamala the seconds she needed to reach the maintenance shaft and disappear inside. Then Chief's magnum clicked empty, and he was facing 32 increasingly angry aliens with a combat knife and 50% functional armor. Cortana, I need options, Chief said as the Black Order began to advance, spreading out to surround him. Your armor is at 68%. Shields are holding at 55%. You could fight through them, but the energy cost would leave you vulnerable for the floors below. Or... She paused. Or you could use the stones. Just the space stone. One teleport to the shaft, and you're clear. Chief felt the temptation like a physical weight. The space stone, whispering its offer. So easy, so simple. One touch, one thought, and he'd be safe. Kamala would be safe. The mission would succeed. All it would cost was his conviction. No, Chief said. Then what? I fight, he charged. 32 against 1 should have been impossible. Would have been impossible for a normal soldier. But Chief wasn't normal. He was a Spartan too, genetically enhanced, cybernetically augmented, trained since childhood in the art of turning impossible odds into victories. He moved through the Black Order formation like a knife through flesh. His combat knife found gaps in armor throats, joints, the vulnerable spots his decades of combat had taught him to exploit. His enhanced strength let him use fallen enemies as weapons, throwing them into their comrades, using their own weapons against them. The Black Order had numbers and firepower. Chief had skill and fury, but numbers eventually tell. An energy blast caught his side, and his partially restored shields absorbed most of it, but not all. He felt pain real, burning pain as the overflow scorched his bodysuit. Another blast caught his leg, and he stumbled. They swarmed him then, thinking him vulnerable. 3 soldiers tackled him, trying to pin him down, to overwhelm him with mass. Chief activated his armor's emergency thrusters, the small jets designed for zero-G maneuvering, now repurposed at full burn in atmosphere. The burst of thrust threw the soldiers off, sent Chief tumbling toward the maintenance shaft, and he used the momentum to dive through the access door. He fell. The maintenance shaft was vertical, maybe 3 meters wide, with ladder rungs along one wall and cables running through the center. Chief caught a rung, his armor's strength arresting his fall, and he looked up to see Black Order soldiers crowding the access door above, weapons tracking him. Kamala, where are you? Chief called into the shaft. Bottom. Her voice echoed from far below. I made it to the 12th floor. There's an exit here. Good, get ready to run when I reach you. Chief began descending, hand over hand, as energy blasts scorched the shaft around him. The soldiers above were firing blind, hoping to hit him through volume rather than accuracy. Then he heard a mechanical grinding sound from above. They were dropping something into the shaft. Something heavy, grenade. Cortana warned. Not a grenade. Worse. A plasma charge, designed to fill the entire shaft with superheated energy. Chief had maybe 3 seconds before it detonated. He let go of the ladder and fell. 5 floors in freefall, his armor's inertial dampeners screaming protest as he accelerated. He hit the 12th floor access door feet first, using his full momentum and strength to tear it off its hinges, and tumbled through into Kamala's arms she'd imogened again to catch him. Above them, the shaft filled with plasma fire. The heat washed over them. But they were clear, they were through, they were the 12th floor's blast door was descending. Out! Chief commanded, and they ran. Through the door, into a corridor, past security stations and abandoned offices. Behind them, the blast door sealed, cutting off the plasma fire but also cutting off their pursuers. For the moment, they were clear. Chief leaned against a wall, his armor's damage warnings screaming in his HUD. Shields at 20%. Multiple armor breaches. Burns across his torso and leg. Ammunition exhausted. And still 7 floors above ground level with an unknown number of Black Order between them and extraction. Are you okay? Kamala asked, her young face concerned. I'll live. You? I'm fine. Scared, but fine. She looked at him seriously. You could have used the stones. I heard that AI Cortana? She said you could teleport. Why didn't you? Chief was quiet for a moment. Then, because if I use them to solve one problem, I'll use them to solve the next. And the next. Until I'm solving everything with unlimited power instead of discipline and skill, and then I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm something worse. Even if it means we might die? Even then, Kamala considered this. Then she smiled a brave, bright expression that reminded Chief why he fought. Captain Marvel was right about you. You're a real hero. The kind who does the right thing even when it's hard. I'm a soldier, Chief corrected. Heroes are something different. I don't think so, Kamala said. I think they're exactly the same thing, Chief's cum crackled. Chief, this is Thor. I've breached the building's eastern wall. Hulk has secured the western approach. Where are you? 12th floor, moving to extraction, Chief replied. Kamala is secure. How's the perimeter team? Peter and Riri have eliminated the external forces. We're moving to support your position. Negative. Maintain perimeter security. We're coming to you. Chief stood, his armor system stabilizing at 78%. Not perfect, but functional. Kamala, final push. We make it to ground level, we extract, and this nightmare ends. Stay close. They moved. Through corridors, down emergency stairs, past abandoned laboratories and testing chambers. And with each floor they descended. Chief felt the stones growing quieter. Not gone never gone, but less insistent. As if they recognized that he'd passed their test. He'd had every reason to use them. Every tactical justification. Every moral argument for saving a life. And he'd refused. Because discipline mattered more than convenience. Because the hard path was sometimes the right path. Because being human, even an enhanced human, even a Spartan mattered more than being a god. They reached ground level, burst through emergency exits, and found Thor and Hulk waiting with a Quinjet. Get her aboard, Chief ordered, and Kamala was whisked away to safety. Thor looked at Chief's damaged armor, at the burns and scorch marks, at the evidence of a desperate fight. You did this without the stones, yes. Why? Because I had to prove I could. Thor smiled a warrior's approval. Then you've proven more than capability, Spartan. You've proven character. And that is far rarer. As the Quinjet lifted off, leaving the Stark facility behind, Chief finally allowed himself to relax. Kamala was safe. The mission was complete. And he'd done it without compromising his principles. But in his armor storage, the Infinity Stones remained. Still powerful, still tempting, still waiting for the next crisis. This was just one battle in a longer war. The war between who he was and who the stones wanted him to become. And Chief had just won a major victory. The medical bay at Avengers compound hummed with activity. Dr. Helen Cho worked on Kamala Khan, running diagnostics on the sedatives the Black Order had used, while Chief stood nearby getting his armor repaired by Stark Industries' automated fabricators. The burns across his torso had been treated his. Spartan physiology was already healing the damage at an accelerated rate, but the psychological weight of the mission lingered. You're lucky, Dr. Cho said, addressing Chief while monitoring Kamala's readings. Another few minutes in that building and the sedative cocktail they used would have caused permanent neurological damage. As it is, she make a full recovery. Good, Chief said. He looked at Kamala, who was resting but awake, her mask removed to reveal a young face that still carried traces of fear. How are you feeling? Like I got kidnapped by aliens and rescued by a supersoldier from another universe, Kamala said, managing a weak smile. So, normal superhero stuff. The smile faded. They told me about the stones. About how you refused to use them, even when it would have made rescuing me easy. Why? Because easy solutions usually create harder problems, Chief replied. And because I needed to prove to myself more than anyone that I could complete the mission without them. Did you? Prove it to yourself, I mean. Chief considered this. The mission had been brutal. His armor was damaged, his body was injured, and there had been moments where failure seemed inevitable. Conventional tactics had barely been enough. Without his Spartan augmentations, without decades of combat experience, without Kamala's unexpected help, they would have failed. I proved I could win without the stones, Chief said carefully. But I also proved how hard that victory was. How many things had to go right? how much I had to risk. He looked at the storage compartment where the stones rested. The temptation is understanding that I could have saved you with zero risk, zero damage, zero cost except to my principles. Are principles worth dying for? Kamala asked. Sometimes. When they define who you are, Chief's HUD showed his armor repairs were 60% complete. But that's something each person has to decide for themselves. I'm a soldier. Discipline is what separates us from chaos. If I abandon that, I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm just someone with power. That's really philosophical for someone who punches aliens for a living, Kamala observed. 30 years of combat gives you time to think. Chief's tone was dry, almost amused. The medical bay door opened, admitting Bruce Banner, Thor, Sharon Carter, and someone new, a tall man with an eye patch and a presence that screamed Spymaster. Chief's threat assessment activated. Immediately, Nick Fury, the man introduced himself. Former director of S.H.I.E.L.D., current concerned observer. His single eye studied Chief with the intensity of someone who'd spent decades evaluating potential threats. We need to talk about what happened at that Stark facility. The mission was successful, Chief said. Kamala was extracted safely. The Black Order was denied the Infinity Stones. What's the problem? The problem, Fury said, pulling up a holographic display, is that we've been monitoring global communications since you arrived. And in the last 4 hours we've intercepted chatter from at least 7 different organizations. Some governmental, some criminal, some we can't even identify, all discussing the soldier from another universe who carries the Infinity Stones but refuses to use them. The display showed fragments of intercepted communications. Images of Chief fighting the Black Order. Speculative analysis of his capabilities. Strategic assessments of how to acquire the stones. You've become famous, Sharon added. Or infamous, depending on perspective. Every major power player on Earth now knows you exist, knows you're carrying ultimate power, and knows you won't use it to defend yourself. You've painted a target on your back. And on ours, Fury continued. Because they know you're working with the Avengers, which means attacking you means attacking us. We're looking at potential conflicts with at least 3 governments and every major criminal organization on the planet. All because you're carrying weapons that everyone wants and nobody trusts you to safeguard. Then take them. Chief said bluntly, you're Avengers. You've dealt with the stones before. If my presence is causing problems, take them into custody and I'll remove myself from the equation. And how exactly do we do that? Banner asked. We can't force you. You've proven you can fight off the Black Order. Without using the stones, you could probably fight off us too if you wanted. And even if we could take them by force, would that be right? You've shown more restraint with unlimited power than anyone else in history. Taking them from you feels like punishing virtue. Besides, Thor said, the stones respond to worthiness and will. They've chosen to remain with you, Spartan. Attempting to forcibly separate them might cause catastrophic energy release. We tried to destroy them once before. It didn't work well. Fury's expression suggested he'd already considered and rejected multiple solutions. Here's the situation, Chief. You can't go home yet. Your II confirms that the dimensional physics are still incompatible. You can't give away the stones because they're safer with you than anyone else. And you can't use them because that would compromise your principles. Which leaves you in an impossible position. Impossible positions are my specialty, Chief said. Not this one. Fury pulled up another display showing global threat assessments. Because while you've been playing hero, the vultures have been circling. We've got intelligence suggesting 3 separate groups are planning operations to acquire the stones. The first is AIM Advanced Idea Mechanics, a terrorist organization specializing in super science. They want the stones to create their own god. The second, Sharon continued, is a consortium of nations who believe the stones are too dangerous to be held by any individual or private organization. They want UN custody with international oversight. Sounds reasonable until you realize half those nations are compromised by Hydra remnants or other hostile interests. And the third? Chief asked. That's the one that worries me most, Fury said. We don't know who they are. Just that they've been buying up Chitauri technology, recruiting specialists in quantum mechanics and dimensional physics, and making very careful inquiries about you. Whoever they are, they're well-funded, sophisticated, and very interested in both you and the stones. So I'm being hunted by terrorists, governments, and an unknown third party. Chief summarized. While carrying ultimate power I refuse to use, stuck in a universe I can't leave, and apparently causing problems for everyone around me. That about sums it up, Fury confirmed. Then what do you recommend? Fury exchanged glances with Banner and Thor, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, he spoke. We recommend you use the stones to go home. The silence in the medical bay was absolute. Excuse me? Chief said. Darkly. Didn't work. The stones are remnants of creation itself. They predate the universe. Destroying them might destroy everything. Or nothing. We don't know, and the risk is too high to attempt. Then what? Chief demanded, frustration creeping into his voice. What exactly are you suggesting I do? Because every option seems to involve either using the stones, which I won't do, or causing problems for people I don't want to harm. I'm suggesting, Fury said carefully, that you consider whether your principles are worth maintaining if they endanger everyone around you. That's not fair. Kamala interjected from her medical bed, surprising everyone. He saved my life without using the stones. He fought through impossible odds because he believed doing things the right way mattered. And now you're telling him that was wrong? That he should compromise his beliefs because other people are threatening him? I'm saying, Fury replied, his tone gentler when addressing the teenager, that sometimes the right choice isn't the one that makes you feel good about yourself. Sometimes it's the choice that actually protects people, even if it costs you your principles. Spoken like someone who's never had principles worth keeping, Chief said, and his voice was cold enough to freeze nitrogen. Fury's expression hardened. I've compromised my principles more times than you can count, soldier. I've lied, manipulated, and sacrificed to keep this planet safe. Do and lecture me about the cost of leadership when you so committed to your moral purity that you can't see the danger you recreating. Both of you, stop, Banner interrupted, his skin showing the faint green tinge that signaled Hulk was close to the surface. This isn't productive. Chief Fury has a point. Your presence with the stones is creating a security crisis. Fury, Chief also has a point. Using the stones casually is exactly the problem we're trying to avoid. We need a solution that addresses both concerns. There might be one, Cortana said, her avatar appearing above the medical equipment. I've been analyzing the dimensional rift that brought us here, and I've been cross-referencing with the space stone's energy signature. I believe I can calculate a precise transit back to our universe, but it would require using the space stone in a very specific way. What way? Chief asked. Instead of using the stone to tear open a dimensional rift forcefully, we use it to find the existing rift, the one created by the Forerunner artifact. That rift is still technically open, just invisible because it exists between dimensional frequencies. If we can locate it and widen it slightly, we can transit home without the catastrophic energy release that creating a new rift would cause. How long would this take? Sharon asked. The calculations? I can complete them in about 72 hours. The actual transit? Seconds once we've located the rift, but Cortana hesitated. There's a complication. Of course there is, Fury muttered. The rift is unstable. Using the space stone to widen it might work perfectly, allowing Chief to return home with all 6 stones safely. Or it might cause a cascade failure that damages both universes' dimensional barriers. The probability of success is approximately 53%. 53%! Chief repeated. Basically a coin flip on whether I get home safely or cause dimensional catastrophe. Essentially, yes. And if I don't use the stone? If I wait for you to find a safer method? Then you're stuck here indefinitely. And based on current threat assessments, you'll be fighting off acquisition attempts from multiple organizations for as long as you remain. Cortana's avatar looked troubled. John, I know you don't want to use the stones. But this might be a situation where using them is the lesser evil. You'd be using them to remove yourself and them from this universe, which solves everyone's problems. Chief was quiet for a long moment. Around him, the Avengers watched, waiting for his decision. Use the stones to go home risking dimensional catastrophe but solving the immediate crisis. Or refuse maintain his principles and accept that his presence would continue endangering everyone around him. If I use the space stone, Chief said slowly, and the transit succeeds, what happens to the stones in my universe? Same problems, different galaxy, Fury said. But that's your galaxy's problem, not ours. That's not an acceptable answer. Chief looked at each person in turn. Banner, Thor, Sharon, Fury, Kamala. I came to your universe by accident. I've tried to minimize the disruption, tried to help where I could, tried to maintain discipline with power I never asked for. And now you retelling me the solution is to take that problem and dump it on my own people? That's not solving anything. That's just relocating the crisis. Then what do you suggest? Banner asked. Before Chief could answer, alarms shrieked through the compound. Friday's voice came through the speakers, urgent and controlled. Detecting massive energy signatures approaching from orbit. Configuration matches, this is impossible. The signatures match Sanctuary to Thanos' flagship, but Thanos is dead. The ship was destroyed. This can't be. The alarms cut off as every electronic system in the compound died. Not an MP. Something worse. Chief felt it through his armor, a massive gravitational distortion. Reality itself bending around a point of infinite mass. The lights flickered and failed. Backup systems activated and died. And through the compound's windows, Chief saw it. A ship, massive beyond comprehension, descending through clouds like a falling moon. Its design was organic and mechanical simultaneously, covered in weapons that could glass planets. And at its helm, visible through impossible distance, stood a figure that made even Thor's expression turn grim. That's not Thanos, Thor breathed. That's worse. That's Corvus Glaive's master ship. And if he's brought that here, he's not trying to steal the stones anymore. Then what's he trying to do? Kamala asked. The answer came through every speaker in the compound simultaneously. Corvus Glaive's voice, amplified by technology beyond Earth's capability. Master Chief, you have defied us, humiliated us, proven that your discipline is absolute. Very well, if you will not use the Infinity Stones willingly, we will force you to use them. Every hour you refuse, we will destroy one major population center on this planet. Starting with New York City in 60 minutes, the transmission ended. And Chief realized with absolute certainty that his crisis of principles had just become everyone's death crisis of survival. The holographic display in the compound's war room showed New York City in real time, 8 million people going about their lives, unaware that they had 57 minutes before orbital bombardment turned their city into a crater. Friday. Confirm threat assessment, Banner ordered, his transformation to Hulk progressing as the crisis escalated. Confirmed, the AI responded. Sanctuary 2 is positioning itself in geosynchronous orbit over Manhattan. Weapon systems are charging. Energy signature matches those used during the Battle of Wakanda. If fired at full capacity, total casualties would exceed 7 million within the first 30 seconds. Can we evacuate? Sharon asked, not in under an hour. Not 8 million people. Fury's expression was carved from stone. We'd need every Quinjet, every shield asset we don't have anymore, every superhero on the planet, and we'd still only save maybe 100,000. This is checkmate. No, Chief said, his voice cutting through the despair. This is a hostage situation. Corvus is trying to force my hand by threatening civilians. Classic terrorist tactic: create an impossible choice where inaction and action both lead to catastrophe. And what's your solution? Thor demanded. The god of thunder was already armored for war, Stormbreaker crackling with lightning. We can't reach that ship. It's too high, too well defended. I could fly there, but their weapons would shred me before I got close enough to matter. The Iron Legion? Riri suggested, her armor already deployed. War Machine? Anyone with long-range strike capability? Rhodes is on assignment in Sokovia, Sharon reported. The Legion was decommissioned after Ultron. We have limited assets for a space-based assault, and none that could penetrate Sanctuary 2's defenses before it fires. Chief studied the tactical display, his mind processing variables with the cold efficiency of 3 decades combat experience. Sanctuary 2 was beyond conventional reach. Its weapons could glass New York before any Earth-based assault could stop it. Evacuation was impossible in the time remaining, which left one option, the option Corvus was counting on. Use the stones. He's not actually going to fire, Kamala said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. Think about it. If he destroys New York, Chief has no reason to surrender the stones. Corvus would lose his leverage. He's bluffing. You willing to bet 8 million lives on that? Fury asked. I'm willing to bet that Corvus is smart enough to know that dead hostages are worthless hostages. Kamala countered. He'll fire a warning shot, maybe destroy something symbolic but non-lethal, then renew his demands. Classic escalation pattern. She's right, Cortana confirmed. Corvus's communications included the phrase, "Every hour you refuse." That's a pattern of escalating threats, not immediate execution. He's creating pressure, not actually committing genocide. Yet. So we have time, Chief said. How much? First strike will likely be symbolic, Cortana calculated. Probably targeting a landmark rather than population center. I'd estimate 15 to 30 minutes before he proves he's serious. Then another hour before the actual deadline if Chief doesn't comply. 90 minutes, Thor said. To stop an orbiting dreadnought with the firepower to destroy planets. How? Chief looked at the stone storage compartment in his armor. Felt their patient presence, their eternal willingness to solve this crisis instantly. The Space Stone could teleport Sanctuary 2 into a star. The Power Stone could obliterate it from existence. The Reality Stone could make the threat simply never have existed. So easy. So simple. So utterly against everything he committed to. Chief, Banner said, and his voice was gentle despite Hulk's influence. I know what you're fighting. I know what it is like to have power you're afraid to use because of what it might make you. But this is different. This is not about your principles anymore. This is about 8 million innocent people who'll die if you maintain your discipline, is it? Chief asked. Or is this exactly what Corvus wants, to prove that my discipline is conditional? That I'll compromise when the stakes are high enough? Because if I do that, I validate every argument Fury made. I prove that principles are just convenient guidelines you abandon when they're inconvenient. Principles don't matter if everyone's dead, Sharon said bluntly. Principles are the only thing that matter, Chief countered. Without them, power becomes tyranny. Expediency becomes atrocity. Good intentions become the road to hell. Philosophical debate is lovely. Fury interrupted, but we have 52 minutes before that ship opens fire. So I'm going to ask you directly, Master Chief, will you use the Infinity Stones to save New York City? Yes or no? Every eye in the war room focused on Chief, waiting, demanding an answer that would define who he was and what he believed. Chief looked at each of them, saw the desperation, the fear, the hope that he would abandon his principles to save them. Saw Kamala's conflicted expressions. She admired his discipline but didn't want her city destroyed for it. Saw Thor's warrior understanding mixed with pragmatic urgency. Saw Banner's scientific mind calculating probabilities and finding no good options. No, Chief said. The word fell like a stone into still water. You're willing to let 8 million people die? Sharon's voice was incredulous. I'm willing to find another way to save them, Chief corrected. Because if I use the stones now under duress to solve this crisis, what happens at the next crisis? And the one after that? At what point does emergency use only become standard operating procedure? When does the guardian of ultimate power become its slave? This is insane, Fury said. You're choosing abstract principle over concrete lives. No. I'm choosing to trust that we're smart enough, skilled enough, and determined enough to solve this without unlimited power. Chief turned to the tactical display. Cortana, analysis. What are Sanctuary I's vulnerabilities? It's a capital ship, designed for fleet engagement and planetary assault. Heavily armored, but that armor is optimized against energy weapons and kinetic missiles. Its shields can withstand conventional nuclear weapons. Cortana highlighted sections of the ship. However, it has weak points. Hangar bays for Chitauri fighters. Engine sections that require external heat dissipation. Command and control centers that coordinate its weapons systems. Can we reach those weak points? Chief asked Thor. Not before it fires, Thor admitted. Even at my fastest atmospheric flight to orbital altitude would take minutes I don't have. What if you didn't need to fly? Chief pulled up schematics of the compound. The Avengers have access to Quinjet technology atmospheric craft with limited space capability. Could you pilot one into orbit? Possibly, Thor said slowly, understanding dawning. But a Quinjet's weapons couldn't penetrate Sanctuary 2's armor. You don't need weapons. You need delivery. Chief looked at his armor's storage. What if I gave you the Power Stone? Just that one. You fly it up there, channel it through Stormbreaker like you do with lightning. and hit one of those weak points with enough force to cripple the ship's weapons systems. The silence that followed was profound. That's using the stones, Banner said quietly. No, Chief corrected. That's delegating their use. I'm not wielding them. I'm entrusting one stone to someone capable of using it responsibly for a specific limited purpose. Thor has wielded ultimate power before he survived Infinity War, fought Thanos, proved he can handle cosmic energy. If anyone can use the Power Stone without being corrupted, it's a god who's already learned humility. Thor studied Chief with new respect. You would trust me with such power? You've earned that trust. You've shown restraint, wisdom, and the willingness to sacrifice yourself for others. That's what makes someone worthy of power, not strength, but character. This is a massive risk, Sharon protested. What if Thor can't control it? What if it corrupts him like it would anyone else? Then I've made the wrong call, Chief acknowledged. But it's still better than me using the stones directly. Because if Thor fails, it's one god struggling with cosmic power. If I start using them, it's a soldier with god-tier weapons deciding who lives and dies. The first is a tragedy. The second is a precedent. I'll do it, Thor said, his voice carrying absolute conviction. I've failed before with power, failed to stop Thanos, failed to save half the universe. Perhaps this is my chance at redemption. To use ultimate power responsibly, as you've been trying to teach us all. Chief accessed his armor's storage, the compartment opening with a hiss of pressurized air. The 6 stones rested in their containment units: space, mind, reality, power, time, and soul. He removed the Power Stone's container, the purple gem pulsing with barely contained energy. 50 minutes, Friday announced. Sanctuary 2 weapons charging to 80%. Chief handed the container to Thor. Channel it through Stormbreaker. The weapon can handle cosmic energy. It was forged in the heart of a dying star. Use the stone's power to disable Sanctuary 2's weapons grid, nothing more. Don't try to destroy the ship, don't try to kill everyone aboard. Just remove their ability to threaten Earth. Understood. Thor accepted the container with appropriate gravity. And Chief? Thank you. For trusting me. For showing us that power doesn't have to corrupt if we choose to resist it. Don't thank me yet. Thank me after you've succeeded. Thor turned to the assembled Avengers. Riri, I'll need that Quinjet prepared for emergency orbital insertion. Peter, I will need you and Banner on standby in case Corvus sends ground forces once he realizes what I am attempting. Sharon, coordinate with what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D. We may need evacuation protocols if this goes wrong. And if it goes right? Kamala asked. If it goes right, Chief said, we'll have proven that you don't need unlimited power to win impossible fights. You just need courage, skill, and the willingness to trust others. The next 30 minutes were a blur of preparation. Thor studied the Power Stone's containment unit, learning its mechanisms. Riri modified a Quinjet for the high-altitude insertion Thor would need. Banner transformed fully into Hulk, ready for ground-level threats. And Chief stood in the war room, watching Sanctuary 2's weapons charge toward firing capability, trusting that his decision was correct. 47% probability of success, Cortana calculated. If Thor can't control the Power Stone, if the Quinjet fails, if Corvus has additional defenses we haven't accounted for, any of those variables could lead to catastrophic failure. I know, Chief said quietly. You're betting everything on faith. That's not tactical. That's not strategic. That's hope. Sometimes hope is all you have. 35 minutes to firing threshold, Friday announced. Sanctuary 2 weapons at 95% charge. Thor stood in the Quinjet's bay, Stormbreaker in one hand and the Power Stone's container in the other. He looked at Chief through the bay doors, and for a moment, God and soldier shared an understanding that transcended words. For the honor of fallen heroes, Thor said. For Tony, who used the stones to save us all. For Steve, who showed us that strength isn't about power. For Nat, who understood sacrifice. I will not fail. The Quinjet launched, its engines screaming as it climbed toward orbit. Chief watched it ascend, a small craft against the vastness of sky, carrying a god and a stone toward a battle that would determine 8 million fates. 20 minutes to firing threshold, Friday reported. Quinjet is approaching orbital altitude. Sanctuary 2 has detected the approach and is redirecting point defense systems. Can Thor make it through? Banner asked. Unknown, Cortana said. The Quinjet's shields are designed for atmospheric re-entry, not sustain fire from capital ship weapons. If Corvus focuses fire, Thor won't reach the ship in time. Then we give him covering fire. Riri said, her Iron Man armor already launching. I can't reach orbit, but I can draw their attention. Make them split their targeting between threats. She rocketed toward the ascending Quinjet, her repulsors blazing, firing missile volleys that she knew couldn't reach Sanctuary 2, but that would register on their sensors, creating noise, creating distraction. 15 minutes to firing threshold, Friday announced. Quinjet taking fire, shields at 70%. 60%. 50%. The transmission cut to static. Friday status. Banner demanded. Quinjet shields have failed. Hull integrity compromised. I'm detecting. The AI paused. I'm detecting a massive energy signature. Thor has activated the Power Stone. On the War Room's display, they saw it. Purple energy, vast and terrible, erupting from the damaged Quinjet like a star being born. Thor, channeling the Power Stone through Stormbreaker, had become a living weapon. He didn't fly towards Sanctuary 2. He became lightning made of cosmic power, and he struck the ship like the wrath of gods. The Power Stone's energy, focused through Stormbreaker's star-forged metal, concentrated through Thor's divine nature, hit Sanctuary 2's weapons grid with enough force to crack moons. But Thor had listened to Chief's instruction, disable, not destroy. The ship's weapons exploded. Not the whole ship, just the weapons. Corvus Glaive's dreadnought, rendered harmless in a single stroke. And Thor, having used ultimate power for a limited purpose, having resisted the temptation to do more, returned the Power Stone to its container and descended back to Earth. Sanctuary 2 is retreating, Friday reported. Weapons disabled, propulsion damaged but functional, withdrawing to deep space. New York is safe. The War Room erupted in relieved celebration. Kamala hugged Banner. Sharon sagged against the console. Even Fury allowed himself a small smile. But Chief just stood, watching Thor's descent, feeling the weight of what had just happened. He'd delegated the use of an Infinity Stone and it had worked. He'd trusted someone else with ultimate power and they hadn't been corrupted. He'd found a way to win without compromising his principles. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like the beginning of something dangerous. Because now everyone knew. The stones could be used by others, and if Thor could wield one responsibly, who else might? The war had just changed. 3 days after Thor's strike on Sanctuary 2, Master Chief stood in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, watching as Cortana's calculations reached their conclusion. I found it, his AI announced, her avatar appearing above Strange's mystical workbench, where technology and magic intersected in ways that violated every law of physics Chief understood. The original dimensional rift created by the Forerunner artifact. It's still there, oscillating at frequencies between universes. If we use the Space Stone to stabilize and widen it, you can go home. Probability of success? Strange asked, his hands moving through arcane gestures that somehow interfaced with Cortana's holographic displays. 68%, Cortana said. Up from the original 53%. The calculations are more refined now, but there's still significant risk. The rift could collapse catastrophically, damaging dimensional barriers in both universes. Or it could expand uncontrollably, creating a permanent bridge between realities, both of which are problems we'd rather avoid, Chief observed. He looked at Strange. Your assessment? The mystic calculations agree with Cortana's quantum analysis, Strange confirmed. The rift exists, it can be used. But wielding the Space Stone carries the same risks you've been fighting once you use it. The temptation to use it again increases exponentially. I know. Chief had been thinking about this for 3 days. About Thor's successful use of the Power Stone. About how controlled, limited application of the stones had saved New York without corrupting the wielder. About whether his absolute refusal to use them was discipline or stubbornness. The Sanctum's door opened, admitting the Avengers. Thor entered first, looking more at peace than Chief had seen since they'd met. The God of Thunder had returned the Power Stone to Chief immediately after the battle, refusing to keep it even temporarily. I felt it, Thor had said. The whisper of infinite power, the promise of solving every problem, righting every wrong. If I'd kept it even one more hour, I might have convinced myself to use it again. You were right to demand its return. Behind Thor came Banner, Riri, Peter, Sharon, and Fury. Even Kamala was there, released from medical observation and wearing her Miss Marvel costume with evident pride. "We heard you found a way home," Banner said. "Congratulations. Though I have to admit, we'll miss having a super soldier from another universe around." "The feeling is mutual," Chief replied. "You've been good allies. Better than I expected when I first arrived." "That's because we learned from you," Peter said. "You showed us that power doesn't have to corrupt. That discipline matters. That sometimes the hard way is the right way." "Did I?" Chief asked quietly. "Or did I just prove that stubbornness can look like principle if you're lucky enough to win?" "Does it matter?" Kamala asked. "You saved my life without using the stones. You saved New York by trusting Thor instead of wielding them yourself. You've been in this universe for weeks carrying ultimate power and never once used it for personal gain or convenience. If that's not proof of character, what is?" "She's right," Fury said, surprising everyone. The Spy Master's single eye studied Chief with something that might have been respect. "I've seen a lot of people with power, Chief. Seen how it changes them, corrupts them, turns them into something they didn't mean to become. You've had more power than anyone in history, and you've remained exactly who you were. That's remarkable. Or it proves I'm too stubborn to adapt when circumstances change." Chief countered. "Corvus nearly destroyed New York because I refused to use the stones. If Thor had failed, but he didn't," Thor interrupted, "because you chose the right path. Not the easy path, not the obvious path, but the right one. You trusted me when you could have handled the crisis yourself. That trust, that delegation of power rather than hoarding it, that's what a true leader does." Chief was quiet for a moment. "Then, I've made my decision about going home." Every person in the room tensed slightly, waiting. "I'm using the Space Stone," Chief said. "Not because I have to. Not because there's no other option. But because after 3 days of analysis, it's the most tactically sound solution. Cortana's calculations are solid. Strange's mystical assessment confirms them. The risk is acceptable. And removing the stones from this universe solves multiple security concerns." "So you're compromising your principles," Sharon observed. "No, I'm applying them with wisdom instead of rigidity." Chief looked at the 6 stones, resting in their containment units on Strange's workbench. "I've learned something in this universe. Discipline isn't about never using power. It's about understanding when power is appropriate and when it's excess. Thor used the Power Stone to save 8 million lives and returned it immediately. That was appropriate use. If I refuse to use the Space Stone to go home when every rational analysis says it's the right choice, that's not discipline. That's pride. That's growth," Strange said approvingly. "You came here believing that any use of the stones was corruption. You're leaving understanding that it's the intention and restraint behind the use that matters. That's wisdom. Maybe." Chief picked up the Space Stone's containment unit. "Or maybe I am just tired of being stuck in the wrong universe, and I'm rationalizing my decision. Time will tell." "When will you go?" Riri asked. "Now, before I change my mind. Before circumstances create another crisis that tempts me to use the stones for something else." Chief activated his armor systems, linking to Cortana's calculations. "The rift is located approximately 40,000 kilometers above Earth's surface. I'll need transport to reach it. I'll take you." Thor volunteered immediately. "Consider it a farewell gift, a god of thunder providing transportation for the soldier who taught God's humility." They prepared quickly. Chief secured all 6 Infinity Stones in his armor storage, running final diagnostics. Strange created a protective enchantment that would help stabilize the dimensional transit. The other Avengers gathered to say goodbye to someone they'd known for less than a month, but who changed their understanding of power and responsibility. "Do me a favor," Kamala said, approaching Chief with teenage earnestness. "When you get home, remember that there are people in other universes who think you're a hero. Not because of your armor or your strength or your training. Because you chose to be good when it would have been easier to be powerful." "I'll remember," Chief promised. "And maybe think about what you learned here," Banner added. "About delegation, about trust, about how restraint doesn't mean isolation. You've fought alone for most of your time here. But the times you trusted others, Thor with the Power Stone, us with the rescue plans, those were your biggest successes. I've noticed, Chief said. I'll take that lesson home with me. Fury stepped forward, extending his hand. You're a good soldier, Chief, better than good. You're the kind of person who makes power look like a burden instead of a privilege. The universe needs more of that. They shook hands, Spy Master and Spartan, two people who understood the weight of impossible decisions. Finally, Strange approached. One last thing before you go. The Time Stone showed me something before I returned it to its proper place in the timeline. Showed me futures where you arrived in our universe. And? Chief asked. In 97% of those futures, you used the stones within the first week. In 68%, you became what you feared, corrupted by power, convinced your control was better than others' freedom. In only 3% did you resist for as long as you did. Strange smiled slightly. You beat the odds, Spartan. You did what almost no one could. Remember that when you doubt yourself. Thor returned, having prepared the mystical transportation that would carry them to the rift's location. Ready? Ready, Chief confirmed. They left Earth's atmosphere in a bubble of Asgardian magic that protected them from vacuum and cold. Below, the planet looked beautiful, blue and white and green. Home to 8 billion people, Chief had helped protect despite being a stranger to their universe. There, Cortana said, highlighting their destination in Chief's HUD. The dimensional rift. Invisible to normal sensors, but I can detect the spatial distortion. It's stable. Ready for transit. Chief removed the space stone from its containment unit. For the first time since arriving in this universe, he would deliberately, consciously use an infinity stone. The gem pulsed in his gauntlet hand, responding to his intention. He felt its power, vast, ancient, patient. It didn't demand to be used, it simply offered possibilities. The choice, as always, remained his. Cortana, execute navigation protocol. Strange's enchantment should protect against dimensional backlash. Thor, you'll want to back away before I activate this. Good fortune, Master Chief, Thor said, already retreating to a safe distance. May your gods watch over you as ours watched over us. Chief focused on the rift, on home, on the universe he'd been torn from. The space stone responded, its energy flowing through his armor in ways that made every sensor scream warnings. The dimensional fabric began to tear, carefully, precisely, guided by Cortana's calculations and the stone's infinite power. The rift opened. Through it, Chief could see familiar stars, the constellations of the Milky Way as mapped by UNSC navigation systems. Could see his universe waiting on the other side. It's working, Cortana breathed. The rift is stable. We can cross. Chief looked back one last time at Earth, at the blue marble that had been his temporary home. Thought about the people he'd met, the battles he'd fought, the lessons he'd learned about power and restraint. Then he stepped through. The transition was violent, but controlled. Reality folded around him, dimensions intersecting. The space stone burning in his hand as it pulled him across the gap between universes. For a moment, Chief existed in both places simultaneously, in the MCU and in Halo's galaxy, superimposed across realities. Then the rift collapsed behind him, and he was home. Master Chief stood in the void of space, surrounded by familiar stars, the UNSC Infinity. The ship, not the concept, visible on sensors approximately 2 light-years distant. His armor's communications immediately began receiving UNSC fleet traffic. He was home, Chief? A familiar voice, not Cortana, but another AI. Chief, is that you? Your IFF transponder just appeared out of nowhere. We thought you were dead. It's been 3 weeks since you disappeared into that Forerunner artifact. I'm alive, Chief confirmed. Requesting immediate pickup and debriefing. I have a lot to report. In his armor storage, 5 Infinity Stones rested. He'd left the Soul Stone behind, refused its price, as he had from the beginning. But the other 5 were here, in his universe now, potentially creating the same problems they'd created in the MCU. Chief looked at them and made a decision. I also need immediate contact with ONI Section 3 and the UNSC Security Council, he added. I'm carrying weapons of strategic significance that require immediate containment protocols. This is not a standard debrief. This is a threat assessment level. Extinction, because he'd learned the lesson the MCU had taught him. You didn't hoard power. You didn't hide it. You certainly didn't use it casually, but you also didn't carry it alone. You trusted others, you delegated, you shared the burden. The Infinity Stones would be contained, studied, and secured. But not by him alone. He would bring in Dr. Halsey, the UNSC Science Corps, AI specialists, and military strategists. He would distribute the responsibility across institutions designed to handle it. He would apply wisdom, not just discipline. Also, Chief added, a thought occurring to him, I need to speak with Blue Team. Kelly, Fred, Linda, tell them I learned something important about trust and delegation. Tell them Spartans don't have to fight alone. As the UNSC retrieval ship approached, Chief felt something he hadn't felt in 30 years of combat. Not relief at mission completion, not satisfaction at victory, but actual, genuine peace. He'd gone to another universe, wielded godlike power, and returned without being corrupted. He'd maintained his principles while learning to apply them with wisdom. He'd proven to himself more than anyone that discipline and flexibility weren't opposites. They were partners. The Infinity Stones whispered in their containment units, already offering solutions to UNSC problems. Already tempting him with easy answers to hard questions. Chief smiled behind his helmet. Not today, he said quietly. Not tomorrow. Probably not ever. But if the time comes when using you is the right choice, the wise choice, the choice that saves lives without corrupting souls, then maybe I'll have learned enough to use power without being consumed by it. Cortana's avatar appeared in his HUD looking proud. You know what, John? I think you already have. As the UNSC ship's bay doors opened to receive him, Master Chief took one last look at the stars of his home galaxy. He was back where he belonged, carrying weapons he'd never asked for, having learned lessons he'd never expected. The war against the Covenant was over. The created conflict was resolved. The galaxy was at relative peace. But Chief knew that peace was temporary. New threats would emerge. New crises would demand impossible solutions. And he would face them with the same discipline, the same restraint, the same stubborn commitment to doing things the right way. But now he also had wisdom. Had understanding that power wasn't evil only, its misuse was. Had learned that trusting others wasn't weakness. It was strength. Remember Reach, he thought, using the Spartan memorial phrase. But also remember New York. Remember Thor's trust. Remember Kamala's admiration. Remember that even in another universe, even carrying the power of gods, you chose to remain human. That was the victory, not defeating enemies. Not surviving impossible odds. But choosing, again and again, to be the person you wanted to be rather than the monster unlimited power could make you. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 had left his universe a soldier. He returned home a soldier with wisdom. And the 6 Infinity Stones, now the UNSC's problem, not just his, would test whether that wisdom was enough. If you loved watching Master Chief resist the ultimate temptation and prove that discipline can coexist with wisdom, make sure to subscribe and come back for more epic crossover stories. Drop a comment below with your favorite moment. Was it Chief's refusal at Vormir? Thor wielding the Power Stone? The escape from the Stark facility? Or Chief's final decision to use the Space Stone with wisdom rather than pride? Tell us which character you want to see with the Infinity Gauntlet next, and which universe they should enter. The stones are scattered again. More stories await. Master Chief arrived in the MCU carrying 5 Infinity Stones and an absolute commitment to never use them. He fought the Black Order hand to hand. He rescued Kamala Khan through tactics and skill. He trusted Thor with the Power Stone instead of wielding it himself. And he learned that discipline without wisdom is just stubbornness, while wisdom without discipline is just rationalization. He left the MCU having used the Space Stone exactly once to go home after learning that the refusal to use power and the wisdom to use it appropriately aren't opposites. They're the same virtue, applied with judgment. The Infinity Stones are now in the Halo universe. The UNSC will face the same temptations the MCU did. But you'll face them with a Spartan who's already learned the hardest lesson. Power doesn't corrupt. The belief that you're immune to corruption does. And Master Chief knows he's not immune. Which is exactly what makes him worthy.